Why am I getting so itchy right here? I feel like I just got bit by something. And ironically, I just took an antihistamine, so I shouldn't even be itchy. I have to eat some Sour Patch Kids for energy right now. Hey y'all, we're gonna do some live readings. I'm only probably gonna be on here for a little bit. Because then I'm gonna leave to go to my friends. Hello, Janet. I wanted to end the work week off strong. I bought a whole like party-sized bag of Sour Patch Kids. I just spit everywhere for when my blood sugar gets low. And I only like the red and the blue. So that's a problem. Because I like, look at, it's like all the other ones because I don't fucking like those ones. Thank you. I did them myself. I wish they just sold the red and the blue ones. I don't like the other ones. But my logic was, let me get candy that I'm not gonna just like binge. Let me get something that I like but that I don't love. And now I just find myself eating the ones that I like. And now I just have a whole jar of the ones I don't want anymore. Okay. Hello, people. Hello, hello. I'm only gonna stay on here. I'm on here solely for readings right now. So if we don't get someone within the next few minutes, I'll probably just be on at the end of the weekend. But I wanted to see if anyone wanted one so I can end the work week off strong. What's my phone number? Okay. I almost literally just said it out loud. Does anyone have any fun plans this weekend? I know I'm having a pool day tomorrow. Which I'm honestly not over the moon about. I'm very insecure about my body currently. But try not to let that ruin my experiences. And if we do readings, we're gonna do them on my iPad today because we all know that this 2017 fuck-ass laptop is slow as shit. So we're gonna do it on here. But I will give it a few minutes in case anyone wants one. And then we will go from there. I miss making like actual deep dive TikToks. Can you do a redo of all season 7 Love Island? A redo? The astrology readings are transit readings, so they're not your birth chart unless I think it's relevant to mention your birth chart. They're just like what you recently gone through, what you're going through now, and what you can expect to come up ahead. It's mostly predictive astrology. So what is on its way to you? What's right around the corner? I just kind of say everything I see. I don't really have rules to it, so it's not like I'll see something and not include it if I think it's like important for you to know or relevant to like what you're going through. But even if nothing major is happening in your life, you're always kind of going through something. Everyone is. Even if it's in the back burner or in the background a little bit. So that's usually what I'm covering. Hello, baby. Oh my gosh, you want to say hi? Look, this is my baby Blue. My angel. Oh yeah, absolutely. I don't need to say names on here. Or like, I don't even need names. I just need your birth date, time, and city to the closest accuracy possible. And then once it's Cash Apped, I can go ahead and do it. Fellow Scorpio rising here, been meaning to book another reading with you. Sign me up. We're doing mini readings if you'd like one. I don't have anyone in line right now, so if you want, we can start with you. And I'm not gonna be on here super long time. Like, I always say that though, and then I end up being on here for like 4 hours. But I literally can't do that today because I have to go somewhere. But if anyone wants one, we can get started. And just make sure if you guys Cash App or Zelle or whatever that you put your birth information in the chat, and then we can go from there. Okay, I have Cash App open. And thankfully my iPad works a lot quicker than this laptop. My Zelle is kmoneyenterprises@gmail. Exactly what it sounds like. Kmoney, KMONEY, enterprises@gmail. Hold on, she wants to get out of here. Okay, come on. You want to come in or out? Guys, there must be something like truly wrong with my posture. I know I say it every time, but when I sit in this chair, like, I'm never sitting erect. Like, I don't work in an office. It's so bad actually. I'm usually like working from bed or on my couch or in like my kitchen stool or something. And every time I sit in this chair, I realize how much pain I'm in. Yes, it's 85. And it's like difficult to sit here. It's kind of crazy. Like, I feel like fucking 90 years old, dude. It's kind of awful. Let me log into my Zelle on here because I always have to get out of the TikTok app and then it's drama. So hold on, let me log in. Yo, oh my god, I knew it was gonna do this shit. Sign in, hee hee ha ha. Okay, Kayla. I think that's my login. I thought you could see the screen. I was like, awesome. Okay, hold on, wait. Thank you, girly pop. Let me, guys, I'm sorry. I really hate doing this. Hold on. Brace Grunner. Let me know. Are you, oh, you're Zelling. Okay, you both just did Zelle. Okay, I'm gonna give it a second. Thank you for sending your information. I'm gonna give it a second. And then I'm just gonna get off the app to check. Not because I don't trust you guys, but just because, you know, there's issues sometimes. How are you gonna tell me that's not my password? Yeah, I knew that was my fucking password. Okay, wait, I might not have to get out of the app. Let me see. Okay, I think I have the first one. Who, let me see if the information's on here. Okay, beautiful, thank you. That was funny of you. Okay, 10/14, 2001. Cool, cool, cool. Let's go. And thank you for sending it. Okay. They don't even need to be as famous as me. Okay. I'm just pulling up your chart. out of curiosity, because I know sometimes, like, you're not the only person has ever requested to remain anonymous, but is the concern that someone's gonna see it on here or something? Which is a totally valid answer. I'm just always curious. 6 a.m. And that's, of course, if you want to respond. You don't have to answer that. It's just a passing thought in my mind. Okay, let me make sure I have the right information. Okay. Oopsie. Oopsie doopsie. So I'm assuming this is your first reading. I'm glad that you're excited. Give me 1 segundo. They don't even need to be as famous as me. Bro, I have the AC on and I feel like I'm still... I literally feel like I'm going through menopause, bro, with the PMDD. It's crazy. This one just makes me... But I know I can use this information. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's... I mean, valid. Valid, girl. Okay. You're a Leo rising. I'm very excited. I'm gonna try not to look down. You know what, let me see if I can prop this up, because with the laptop I'm usually able to look up. I love that you're a Leo rising, because by default you have a very exciting transit coming up. So you have Jupiter going through your first house. This is going to begin at the end of June, June 30th. Jupiter is going to move into Leo, and it's going to set you up with a nice year ahead. Bringing a lot of expansion and opportunity and exploration and curiosity and getting outside your comfort zone and trying new things and going new places and meeting new people. Jupiter is very explorative. So Jupiter rules traveling, faith, philosophy, education, going beyond your typical parameters. It's like a wanderlust explorer, or someone who is like a bookworm and gets lost in the hours of the library. So this can be an exciting time because it really sets you up with a year of growth that is gained through lived experience. So you're actually doing things. You're gonna have the experience of it the whole year. Like, because you're a Leo rising, you're gonna experience it the whole time. If you're referring to it being exactly to your your ascendant, which is more along the lines of like who you are, what you look like, your personal brand, how you're navigating the world, more likely, especially with like spotlight on you this year too, because with it going through your first house, that's you yourself, your identity. But having it directly conjunct your ascendant can be a time where it feels like it's hyper focused on you. So like maybe the peak or the climax of the year is going to be right in the middle of September 15th of this fall. So you have that to look forward to. Also, it might even feel like it comes a little bit sooner, because even though that's your ascendant and that's who you are, what you look like, it's going to square your IC and MC first, which is the most private area of your life, and then the most public area of your life. And sometimes this can feel impactful as well, because this is your home, your family, your living situation, you know, who you are at the core, the feelings that you're experiencing and your emotional foundation deep down in your personal self, and then your career, your public image, your reputation, your success, your accomplishments, your opportunities. So you're going to experience that the first week of August. So first week of August, still going to be some big news. There might even be things that are relevant to like your relationships towards the end of July and into early August, because it's going to oppose your Neptune. So there can be a lot of reflection, soul searching, introspection, a lot of like spiritual revelations that you're having, or a lot of open-minded perspective shifts, things like that. And then as we get into the first week of August, you're going to have it square both your, again, most private area of your life and then most public area of your life. So your home, family, living situation, public image, reputation, success, and career. And then middle of September, that will be like the big moment of it coming into contact with a direct conjunction to your ascendant. So who you are, what you look like, the direction of life that you're going in, your life path. So that's really exciting to look forward to. Jupiter rules your 5th house of love, sex, children, romance, creativity, joy, pleasure, like arguably all the more fun, frivolous things in life. So in general, you might find that the growth and the expansion and the experimental energy that you're experiencing the year ahead as we get towards the end of June, beginning at the beginning of the end of June, will be maybe around romance or around creative endeavors, engaging with hobbies, just saying yes to things more, inviting more pleasure and fun into your life, not because it's practical or because it can be monetized or because it's anything other than the fact that it's simply pleasurable to you and simply brings you desires and fun and joy. So that can be dating someone new, that can be getting back out there, like getting your groove back. If it's not romantic, it can be that you start engaging with something that is really just becoming a source of joy or pleasure for you. Sometimes it can be entrepreneurship, sometimes it can be like content creation, it can be things like that. But it also rules your 8th house of shared investments, complicated finances sometimes, so taxes, debt, bills, maybe sometimes having to do with real estate or investments or things like that. But really the common denominator between the 5th house and the 8th house sometimes has to do with sex or intimacy with other people romantically. So those things can be linked together. If we look at it from a more monetary or self-focused thing, this can be engaging with things that are more pleasurable for you, even like sexually, or it can be exploring things that are hobbies, but you actually end up making money from them, or people want to invest into you and pay you for them. There's a lot of different ways that this can manifest, but all of which is going to bring you a lot of growth and expansion. Kind of piggybacking off of that, you have both Saturn, which is a very disciplined, restricted planet that brings a lot of responsibility and newfound structure, hey girl, to your 9th house of, similarly to Jupiter, traveling, faith, philosophy, education, exploration, maybe going back to school, maybe something having to do with distance or moving locations, studying something, learning something, soul searching. This can be a spiritual pursuit as well. And then Neptune is also occupying this space now for like the next 14-15 years, and Neptune is very dreamy, it's creative, it's spiritual as well, but sometimes it can have some blurred lines and some lack of boundaries and structure at times. So it can be contradictory to have a really structured, cold, black and white planet, as well as a very lucid, no fixed container, spiritual, emotional planet go through the same area of life, again occupying this area that has to do with traveling, faith, perspective, the lens through which you see the world based off of your lived experience, your ethics, anything legal, your personal opinions and politics on the world. It's the things that you study, the things that you're knowledgeable in, it's your opinions, it is your perspectives, it's the things that you believe in. So there can be both a seriousness that comes with this transit. Like sometimes I've had to tell clients that have this transit to like remember that they don't know everything and that there's still room to learn. And sometimes we can stand like 10 toes down on something that we don't fully understand. So there can be an unraveling of that or a wake-up call around that, but it can also be that you're studying something literally or metaphorically where you are gaining authority because you're realizing you are still a student. Like you're like, damn, I really need to sharpen my skills in this area. Neptune here can sometimes blur the lines as well, where we either get lost in our beliefs or perspectives. It can be a lot of traveling sometimes too, or like a spiritual retreat, a spiritual awakening, even a dissolve of beliefs. So something that you believed up until this point no longer applying, and then sort of rebuilding a new set of beliefs. Or it can be where we kind of fall victim to things that we believe in and not realizing that we're really getting lost in the fog or the mysticism of it all. So these are both like really long transits. Saturn's going to be here until I think 2029, spring of 2029, and then Neptune's going to be here until like 13 or 14 years from now. So obviously these are not things that are going to be like punching you in the face every single day with their intensity, but it's worth knowing that they're going on in the background. Pluto isn't going to square your IC too quickly yet. The North and the South node are going to switch signs as we get towards the end of July. So the end of June, Jupiter is going to move into your 1st house. End of July, the nodes are now going to move into your 1st and 7th house. So you're going to be starting an 18-month chapter at the middle of the summer, end of July, that's really going to put a newfound focus and spotlight on your relationship. So people closest to you, regardless of the nature of the relationship, it can be business partners, it can be an interpersonal relationship, it can be a monogamous marriage, it can be really close friends, family. It's usually going to be someone that you're like partnered with, but and if you're single, this can be a time where you meet someone falls into your lap. It can be times where exes come back. It can be times where you remain single, but you learn a lot about relationships. And I got it. Thank you, girl. We'll get to you after. it's really going to fatedly align you with people that are supposed to be on your path, and it also can similarly fatedly dissolve you from relationships that just cannot come with you moving forward. So it is an 18-month long chapter. It's not something that inherently happens overnight, but because you do have once it gets towards that 16 degrees, which isn't going to be until like halfway through the transit, so if it starts in July, it'll probably be like next summer, that can be where you really see the major shift in your relationships, and maybe even the way that you identify with yourself, because naturally the South Node's going to go through your first house, which is a lot of shedding of self and identity, who you are, what you look like. I have you written down. I remember writing your name down on the last live. I have you scheduled. I don't know the day off the top of my head, but I remember writing down your handle and the order number. So you will be taken care of, I promise. But sorry, the South Node, yes, can sometimes have you, like, the reason I like this transit for people, which it generally doesn't feel good when you're the one going through it at first, but it's better in the long run, it's rewarding in the long run, is that you have to see where you have to shed things about yourself that are preventing you from building intimacy with people close to you. Of course, thank you for being patient. And thank you for being persistent too, because that's the only way that I would have known about it, so I appreciate it. So having this dichotomy occur means you have to let go of things within yourself to get closer to people. And when I say shedding too, I don't necessarily mean, it doesn't have to be bad. Shedding can be liberating, because you're like, damn, I've been so hard on myself about X, Y, and Z. It literally doesn't matter. Like, let me just stop. It can be things with like your physical image too. Like if there's something you try really hard about, or something that you want people to perceive you as very hard, or if there's things that non-maliciously you're just not inherently super authentic about, because we're all human and we want to be accepted and seen in certain ways, you might just start to relax in that way and kind of unravel. So I don't want you to think shedding is inherently stressful. It can be quite liberating and actually provide a lot of relaxation. And the inverse of this too is that you get close to people that show you that you can do that. Like you make relationships and you make these connections with people where you're like they're the vessel of teaching you that you can relax. I think a lot of times too, like, I don't always fully believe in the, like, you have to be healed, you have to be perfect before you meet people, before you get close to them, because humans need community and we get closer to ourselves through our relationships, and that's really what this transit means to me. It doesn't mean, oh, you're the bad guy now, you have to fix all these things, otherwise, like, you're never going to meet someone. It can be that you meet someone that teaches you how to be yourself, if that makes sense. Yes, Jupiter is exciting. The other thing I'll say, just to manage your expectations, and this isn't at all to be like pessimistic or anything like that, but I think sometimes astrologers with Jupiter can be like, oh my god, it's gonna be the best time ever, like everything's just gonna be amazing, and it very well can be, but you need to be available for things to be amazing. Like, you need to leave your house, you need to talk to people, you need to be willing to put yourself out there, you need to be brave, you need to be courageous, you need to be willing to get outside your comfort zone. That's when Jupiter will take you on a ride and bring you in these unexpected places where you're like, how the hell did I get in this room? How did I get this opportunity? How did I make this amount of money or something? You have to be willing to do that. Hey, my girl, love you. Thanks for popping in. But, sitting in the house, doing the same thing that you've been doing, rotting in the house, being judgmental of everyone else, refusing to change, like, it's going to be difficult for you to get all of the celebratory things of Jupiter. That can be where Jupiter still leaves you with lessons about yourself, but they've been because you've spent a year inside watching everyone else have fun, and so you've just had all this time to think, and at the end of the transit you realize, I probably should have just been putting myself out there. Like, that's kind of what you don't want to experience. So just roll with the punches. That's very jovial. Like, you want to be available to be moved and to kind of go in any direction. I actually missed that because my life was like that 2 years ago. I wonder what the transit was 2 years ago that would have given you that result. Not because I don't see it, I'm just curious off the top of my head. But yes, ma'am, Nikki, your reading's uploading. I just had to do the audio for it, so that is exporting, and it will get to you this weekend. And thank you. You're so sweet. So that is, we talked about Jupiter, we talked about Saturn, we talked about Neptune, we talked about the nodes. Oh, Uranus is probably the last big one that I'll mention. Uranus is shock, it's unpredictability, it's change, it's things coming out of left field. That moved into your social sector. That has to do with larger ambitions, bigger dreams, your vision board, goals, the people that you're connected to. And it actually just wrapped up in doing so. A 7 or 8 year chapter that began in spring of 2018 through your career sector. And typically, when it goes through the career sector, you can have a million different things occur in your career that are totally out of left field. Getting unexpected jobs, leaving jobs, getting fired from jobs, things being very dramatic, being in one industry that has nothing to do with another industry. Just a wonkiness that doesn't have to be bad. It can actually drop you at the end of the transit off with like an authentic path where you're like, damn, if you were to ask me in 2018 what I wanted to do or who I thought I was going to be or the path that I was going to go down, I could not have been able to guess that this is where I'd land. But now you have another 7 to 8 year chapter that is essentially bringing that same level of chaos and excitement and liberation, but maybe some unexpected shifts that can be difficult to kind of adapt to initially, into that area of your life, having to do with your big dreams, your larger ambitions, the people you surround yourself with, the larger scope that you have for who you want to be, how you want to do it, how you want to influence other people, etc. Amazing. Was the dream job, was it like, how did that, the unexpectedness too doesn't have to mean like, you know, it was something was totally unpredictable, but rather that something just pops into place like overnight sometimes. Like when I think of Uranus, this is someone like, even like the girl the other day who was like a victim of James Charles, like her, you know, very unexpectedly just being taken off a whim and like influencing a lot of people, you know, going viral on social media and then making a shit ton of money. Like that is very Uranus energy. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, Uranus is usually like the handoff of the baton of like exactly what you just said. Uranus has a lot to do. It's like someone letting their freak flag fly. It's a very progressive planet. It's very authentic to the extent of like being rebellious or stepping on toes, like not really caring whose feathers they ruffle as long as they're being true to themselves. So oftentimes the rolling with the punches energy is introduced because you're like taking a leap of faith on yourself for what you know is real and true for you, but at the expense of like, this is gonna put me in a chaotic situation, or this is gonna put me in an unstable sort of you know, exchange I have to confront with someone, things like that. So it makes sense that also with it ruling liberation in terms of cutting things off very unexpectedly, you had to leave this thing to go into this thing. So I'm very happy for you that you got your dream job. That's amazing. And that's celebratory too. And I like hearing that, because if you just started that and Jupiter's not even in your first house yet, like I can assume that will maybe be a source of where a lot of your rewards are coming in. And two, with Saturn going through that 9th house, being a student of life, you know, looking at the people that are above you, whether that's position wise, your authorities, you know, whatever it may be, really be a good observer, because over the next few years, what you observe and take in and kind of learn, even if you're doing it privately, will be the thing that once Saturn moves into your career sector towards the end of the decade is going to allow you to establish yourself professionally on like a level where you're taken very seriously. So all of this is very exciting. I think you have a lot to look forward to. There's really nothing super difficult that I see for you. The only like random thing, it's not even gonna be exact until next year, but you get very close to it this summer, is that probably through like July and August, Saturn is squaring your Jupiter, which can sometimes be illegal. It can sometimes put a restriction on what is typically very free-flowing. It doesn't have to be inherently bad, but there might be something that you need to take seriously, or there's newfound responsibility, or you need to implicate some more structure into something that is typically uncontained in order to smoothly conquer whatever this thing might be. It's also in the areas of life that are really have to do with faith and spirituality and perspectives and learning, things that are psychological, mental health wise, maybe with traveling, distance, things like that. I know that might sound weird now. You'll have a better idea of what it is once it comes up if you can't quite put your finger on it. But, and this will be uploaded too on YouTube too. So if you want to listen to it in a few weeks or something like that, you'll be able to reference it. But that's really the only difficult thing I see for you. Other harsh Saturn transits you don't even have until next year. Same with Pluto. Uranus, you're in the clear. Jupiter, we talked about. Yeah, I think that that pretty much covers everything. But I hope that that was helpful for you. And I'm excited for you, TBH. I don't really think you have anything to worry about currently, which is great. It's always good to be on the, you know, the smoother side of things when you get a reading instead of like, oh, okay, something awful's coming up. The relationship transit really starts not next year, at the end of July. That's the one that we talked about with the nodes moving into relationship sector. So my advice for that is just you not forcing things. Like, try to trust the process with your closest relationships, even if things don't go as planned. And again, this isn't inherently negative. There's just can be changes that you didn't expect. The nodes, similarly to Pluto, really like pick people up and put them down against your will. So just as much as like your romantic relationship can be great, and then like you might have a childhood friendship where it just dissolves because they move or something like that. Just as much as like there can be an engagement with the North Node going through the 7th house sometimes. Maybe once it reaches that 16 degrees of your descendant, that could be something that's more important for you. Here, I'm going to give you a date that will be relevant in terms of your relationship, and then you just have to let me know when it happens, what occurs for you. It's the readings are $85. It's literally not going to be until next spring, but around the first week of May, the North Node will be conjunct your descendant, and that is usually where there's a big, profound moment, a fated shift, something major and like serendipitous even occurring in your relationship sector. So I would love to hear what that is. And it's going to be, Jupiter would have retrograded onto your ascendant at the time too. So that's very exciting because that's a lot of expansion on you, your identity, a lot of attention on you. So there could be some sort of upgrade or taking things more seriously. And that doesn't always have to be engagement, especially if that's not what you want, but some sort of growth that comes with it. Yeah, first week of May. At the very least, it will be a pivotal time for you. Okay, I think the next person I had was Grace. Grace, I knew it was you, but when I saw Brace Runner, I was like, I don't want to like say the wrong thing if it's literally someone named Brace. You're welcome. This will be on YouTube too, and probably in the next few days, so you can refer back to it. Okay, let's get Grace up on here. Gracie Poo. Oh my god, I didn't know. You're so funny. That's smart, honestly. I did not know it was fucking 7 o'clock, dude. 54. Love my Connecticut girls. I'm going home next month. I'm so excited. Well, I'm like not even gonna be in Connecticut really, but I am flying and seeing my family, so I'm excited to do that. If anyone else wants a reading, I suggest getting it now so I can do you guys after Grace. Otherwise, I'm probably just gonna end the live after that. Solely because I just didn't plan to be on here long, so I don't want to overdo it. Okay. always forget you're Scorpio rising, and every time I remember I get so happy. Okay, so we're in 2027. Goddamn. Okay, so we have Jupiter, while I'm getting back to this, we have Jupiter moving through a career sector as we get towards the end of June, and we'll have a year with that, so that's very exciting. I'm going to tell you right off the top of the transit, you do have if you want children, if you want to conceive, if you want to become pregnant, you have quite a few things that are going to allow that to happen. Hold on, you have such a big stellium here. Okay, those are in Capricorn. You actually have them coming up before Jupiter even gets in. Okay, so let's see. Let's take it transit by transit. Okay. Beginning of June through the end of June. To pay for the reading, you can send it on Cash App or Zelle. The Cash App cash tag is on here, this thing. My Zelle is K Money Enterprises. If you need to Zelle me, just tell me and I can tell you the email again. Hold on, before you give me background details. Pregnancy, moving, home, family, living situation, possibilities are larger pretty much the whole month of June. The reason I say that is because Jupiter is going to oppose your sun, so that's you, your identity, who you are, what you look like, your career, sometimes masculinity, sometimes authority figure, sometimes your father. And it's in your third house of like your environment. So that's why I say, okay, maybe you're changing locations, maybe you're moving, maybe there's something shifting here with your everyday life and circumstances and what it looks like. Thank you, Kevin. And then it's going to oppose your Venus. Venus is love and relationships. That is a big romantic transit. So sometimes that's engagement, sometimes that's pregnancy, sometimes that's moving with a partner. Environmental changes occurring because of like financial changes. So maybe there's something where you make a lot of money, or you get a raise, or you get a promotion, or you get a bonus, or something like that. It could have something to do too with like learning, education. Maybe you're graduating to some degree. And then Jupiter is going to oppose your Neptune, which doesn't have to be pregnancy or anything like that at all, but it's really an expansion of the perspective and of sometimes legal themes, but your opportunity, the world kind of opening up to you in a way that's sometimes overwhelming. Then when we get towards the end of the Jupiter and Leo transit, which isn't going to even be until, I think you might get a sneak peek of it actually in like around the holidays, maybe around like Thanksgiving. Yep, around Thanksgiving. That's also a pregnancy transit. So, okay, also if you are pregnant already, I think that you might go into labor or give birth in October or November. Yeah, October, November, maybe very end of September. But your other pregnancy transit, just for good measure, just so you're aware, is going to be and you're gonna have your Jupiter opposition too. So there might even be something around like 6 years ago that's relevant as well. What year are we in? 2020, 2019, something around that might be relevant. But the last pregnancy transit that I see is around the first week, middle of November. And then I'm not going to go too far out, but once it retrogrades, you're going to have like a repeat of pretty much all of this as we get towards the end of 2026 into 2027. So if there's anything around that you want to mention, let me know. Also, Jupiter is going to, when it's in a conjunction to your moon, it's also going to be square your ascendant and descendant. That's your closest relationships. Growth, engagement, pregnancy, traveling, moving, or like insane career or success accomplishments that are pretty bold and big and take up a lot of space. Jupiter too, going through the career sector, it's also your public image, it's your reputation, it's what people can see about you. And Jupiter is growth and getting bigger. So if it's pregnancy or fertility, other people, see that you're getting bigger from weight gain, but also if you're posting about growing your family on Facebook or Instagram, people are going to see that. Just failed my bar exam by 25 points, lost my job, taking it the end of July. Okay, taking that at the end of July. July, the nodes move into your 10th and 4th house at the end of July too. So that's going to start a 1.5 year transit of, this might be more relevant to you actually. The North Node's going to start having you focus on and prioritizing your home, family, living situation. Yes, like things having to do with real estate, with your past, you know, unpacking things that are really deep down. It's your personal, emotional security, your foundation, all of that. But it's really like who you are at the core, apart from, positive or not, your career success and accomplishments. The reason that this is going to be a difficult, contradictory transit, I think for Scorpio risings especially, is that you're having an expansion of attention with Jupiter going through a career sector. So it's like you're learning, you're studying, you're trying to do something, you're trying to succeed. You're maybe getting attention, maybe you are doing well on paper, but you're simultaneously going through a lesson of having to not care about and center and like put success on a pedestal. And that can be especially difficult if you start doing really well. Like you might hit with something in a positive way, or even if you have like a losing streak. Like we'll say worst case scenario, you don't pass the bar, you sort of recalibrate and you're like, oh my God, am I on the right path? Like all of that Jupiterian like soul searching and like directionless, wanderless energy. Among all of that, even on the worst end of the spectrum or the most positive end of the spectrum, you have to learn to like low-key not care about that stuff in terms of your self-worth. There needs to be a level of not detachment in the sense that you shouldn't care about your job or your success. You absolutely should, but to not pair your visibility, your success, and your accomplishments with like who you are, to not confuse that with your identity. Are you enjoying that? Good. I think I have 2 and then I'm just gonna get off. Are you good? Thank you. So it can be contradictory to have to do the both of them, but I will say Jupiter provides you with opportunity. The thing, again, the reason I always say astrologers tell you, they set people up for disappointment because they tell you Jupiter's going to be the best thing in the world. It's just going to make everything easy. Everything's going to be celebratory without you trying. That's not always true. Jupiter requires you to learn through experience. It gives you opportunities through you putting yourself out there. This is a time to try, especially because you have Saturn too in your 6th house of work, health, and routine, your everyday habits, and how your micro habits on a day-to-day level essentially provide what ends up being long-term success, or where you see, how do I explain this? Like someone who, let's say two women wake up and they're like, oh my God, I gained 10 pounds. I need to fucking lose this weight right now. One woman is gonna try to not eat for like 3 days and try to lose the 10 pounds in 3 days, and then she's gonna yo-yo and go back and forth and like have this disappointment even though she knows that's not how you sustainably lose weight, and she's gonna try to rush this thing and really overwhelm her body and do this blown out of proportion, dramatic, exaggerated way of trying to lose weight very quickly. Then the other woman is going to wake up and say, oh my God, I gained 10 pounds, I want to lose 10 pounds. And she's going to start walking for 30 minutes every day because she wasn't doing that prior. 6 months from that day, those 2 women are going to be in totally different places. That woman who was like trying to be extreme and overwhelm and just do it very quickly is going to probably be literally in the same weight and still yo-yoing, where the other woman was doing this micro habit, which honestly probably didn't take much effort, and ended up getting somewhere, because if you zoomed out and looked at both of them from a bird's eye perspective, one of them was making progress, linear progress, while the other one was too focused on like the now and the macro rather than how the micro pays off. So yes, daily deposits, exactly, like saving $5 a day rather than like I need to come up with $500 right now. So there might be I would encourage you to take the structure of your day-to-day seriously, so that your macro goals are broken down into digestible micro approaches so that you actually get there. Like, this isn't a good time, and I'm not accusing you of this. This is just an example. This isn't a good time to be like, I need to pass the bar because I told everyone I was going to pass it. It's going to be so embarrassing. I've been saying that. I wanted to do this for years now. Like, I need to do it because I've been saying it. Those are all like bad reasons to go towards what you want right now. Sitting and like not going out for a few weekends and every day factoring in an extra hour of studying and like still enjoying yourself, eating some snacks when you do it, maybe putting a show on or something like that, that's going to be where you like kind of easily, like Jupiter promises, get what you want because you're not being extra, you know what I'm saying? And you're like learning the lesson still of, this is something I want and I need to strive for it to do so. But I also know that I'm not a piece of fucking shit if I don't get it the first time, or if somehow my path completely switches up and like this just ends up not being my path, that's also okay. Like, you want to kind of follow the breadcrumbs in a way that's providing you with opportunity and experience and wisdom, and where you can feel yourself growing in a positive way, rather than this hard, cold structure of like, I need to do this so that I can say that I did this, and feeling like a gross version of yourself, if that makes sense. I feel like I'm really struggling to find the words that I want to use to verbalize what I'm saying right now, but I hope you're understanding me. And no, that's a perfect example, because the 6th house is work. The 6th house rules effort and the annoyingness of how we have to try in order to do things. Like, that's why you have Saturn in Aries, so do I. You have it in the 6th house. This is someone who usually has a very bad cycle of knowing where to do things moderately rather than extreme. So they're either always completely burnt out from working way too hard, or they're not getting shit done because they're not trying. And you want to find that happy medium, and that might be part of your Saturn return lesson. Yes, it's absolutely ego-centered too with Saturn and Aries. And Saturn like rewards hard work. So you want to look at where your natal Saturn is, because it's going to tell you a lot about where you struggle. And you have it in the sign that's known for going really hard and fast, or stubbornly not moving at all. And it is very egocentric. And that's not to say, every sign that Saturn falls in has its downfalls, but one of the ones in Saturn is like, it wants to be taken seriously. It wants to be like, yeah, I did that. It wants to have these list of accomplishments, but it can struggle to like do the things that are required to get there, because they care more about the label you get to say, or the bragging rights that you get, because it wants to be good, it wants to succeed, it wants to be a leader, it wants to be looked up to, it wants all those things, and that's okay. But if you're not willing to do the things to get there, that's where it can trip you up and like really put you in a bad spot. And I would say too, you haven't, like, dude, you're gonna be having the North Node to go through your personal placements in Aquarius, which is gonna be Uranus, Mars, Jupiter. There's going to be some sort of like a world of wisdom that you get this year, not only with Jupiter going through the 10th house and then conjoining your moon at the end of the transit, but the North Node is going to conjoin your natal Jupiter too. So there might be something where, like, how do I explain this? You have a lot of things that are very like, I'm trying not to sound woo-woo. Even if this has nothing to do with your career and like what you're going through right now. Okay, this is one of the things I was just going to say. You might come full circle with this lesson around like everything that you need you already have, or everything that you think you want can be cultivated with what's been right in front of you this whole time. What I mean by that is too, you having Jupiter in the 4th house, that's someone that naturally has a lot of wisdom, is usually very intuitive. There can be some sort of gift, whether that's like privilege or money or resources or accessibility or connections or wisdom or truth or anything like that, that comes from either deep within you or your home or your roots or your ancestry, or the things that your family and just like who you are is attached to, maybe behind closed doors. Like there's tools that you have that other people don't have that you can utilize at this time, that you are gonna know, and I'm not gonna be able to tell you exactly what those things are. But if you like take yourself out of your body and out of your identity and you write down on paper, like pretend that you are jealous of yourself and really think like, oh, like these things come easy to Grace. Like, she's naturally this way. Her family has this. She lives near this. Her family knows these people. Like, I know that sounds weird, but there might be something because you're just very used to it, that you're like, your blinders are not picking up on, that might get you further ahead than like someone else who would want the same things as you. And again, that doesn't even have to be limited to your career, to be clear. That might even have something to do with home, family, living situation, moving, property, anything like that. Because usually the North Node going through the 4th house is like an inherent shift towards really prioritizing and spotlighting those themes. Yes, you can do a reading. You just have to send it to this Cash App, and then I'll be able to do you after the person that I'm reading for right now. You had your nodal reversal too already this year. You had it around your birthday, and that is typically a time where your life starts to pivot into a direction that you weren't necessarily planning for, or it kind of takes your plans and flips them over, makes them go in a different direction or take a little bit longer. It's like they have to be put on the back burner. They're delayed a little bit. There could have been some shifts romantically or with your friendships over the last year and a half since the beginning of 2025. Do you see anything for the first week of October when the results come out? I know the first week of October we're having a Venus retrograde, which can sometimes be frustrating in terms of just like Venetian themes, things going smoothly, ease, harmony, becoming a little bit wonky. But it can also rule second chances, I will say that. So that might actually work in your favor. Let's see, October, first week of October. Venus is going to be retrograde in your 1st house. Venus rules, though, your relationship sector as well as your psychological sector. It's going to square on the 8th of the month your natal Uranus. You and I have the same degree, Uranus. It's going to square your Uranus, and on that day, on the 8th of the month, I don't know if that's the day that they come out, but that can be shock factor, unpredictability, things coming out of left field. Literally at noon on October 8th, there might be some level of shock, unpredictability, a second chance, things pivoting, a surprise of some sort with like money, opportunity. Again, this idea of second chances. It's usually good though, because Venus wants to give you good things, but this might be something having to do with relationships or something like that. But it's who you work together with. It's being on the same page as other people or other things. It's teamwork. Jupiter will be at 20 degrees at the time. Just trying to see what's going on in the sky, not necessarily your chart. We're going to be coming up on a new moon in Libra, probably like a week or so later. So it's a new moon in your psychological sector. I got your payment, Vinny. We can do you after. Thank you. Sorry, I didn't see your message. I would say, oh, dude, you have so many contradictory things going on for the remainder of the year, which isn't to say it's bad. There's just like, it's like twisting my brain in a weird direction. Mercury is going to be at 10 degrees that day in Scorpio, which can be being vindicated, like getting your justice in something. I really think that if you, okay, yeah, let me know. I really think that, like, I don't think this is guesswork of like, are you going to be lucky enough to pass? I think it's more like you will know the answer because it will be based on how much you want it or how willing you are to get it. And I know that that's like duh, but you might not know that, you might not have learned that lesson of wisdom yet, and maybe this transit is teaching you that. Like maybe this transit is partially like trying to teach you that it's not about like, are things going to go good for me or are things going to be bad for me, but that you get to decide that depending on how much effort you're willing to put in and how much you want something. And that doesn't have to, again, be limited to just your career. Saturn in Aries is about how much do you want it. And if you're that serious about it, you'll get it. Like you just wouldn't give yourself the option if you want something that bad. And that goes for everyone. You know, Saturn in Aries is like, how hungry are you for it? And that can be a relationship, that can be working on yourself, that can be inner stability, that can be getting the house that you want, you know, any of that. Mars is also going to be going through a career sector at the time. It's going to be just about to oppose Uranus actually the next day on October 9th, which can sometimes be frustrating, but it can also bring an unexpected change or an unexpected decision or an unexpected breakthrough. So the 8th and the 9th, there might be some unpredictable energy for you, or like this very up and down, unstable, wonky energy. But I think that you can really use it to your advantage because you're having you're basically having a T-square between Venus retrograde, so a change, a second chance, a go around with you, yourself, your identity, and then both Mars and Uranus are squaring that Venus, so it's like getting electrocuted with change, making a decision, taking action, determination, motivation, and hitting the ground running, unexpected shifts, pivots in the situation or the circumstances, flukes, anything like that. And Uranus is going to be at 5 degrees. You're going to be coming up on a Uranus trine not too long after, and that'll go into 2027, which is a positive shift in identity in terms of like authenticity, getting closer to your truth, you know, things like that. We talked about Saturn. Uranus moved into your 8th house. We got a little taste test of that last July, and it'll be here more permanently for the next 7 to 8 years. So you can be happy that over the last 7 to 8 years, so since spring of 2018, you've had a lot of unpredictability, unexpected ups and downs, people coming in your life and leaving your life in terms of your closest relationships. I'm sure you have your own personal story of how Uranus has terrorized the people closest to you over the last few years. I know I do. Okay, 9th of October. You have Mars square Uranus opposite Uranus that day, which can sometimes be dumpster fire energy. I'm going to be honest with you. It can make people crash out. However, I like that it's Mars coming into an opposition with Uranus rather than Uranus coming into an opposition with Mars, because that can be more catastrophic. Whereas this can kind of manifest as like, I'm free. Like it could be celebratory, because the other thing is that Mars isn't even your malefic of sect because you're a night chart. Saturn's going to be more difficult for you than Mars. Mars is your chart ruler. So even though Mars is frustrating, you're familiar with Martian energy because you're Scorpio rising. So like you typically are more, which is good when Mars does something because it's your chart ruler. You know how to work with that energy more than the average person. It will be going through your career sector at the time, which means a lot of stimulation and change and excitement and things moving fast within your career and public image sector. So think of like, you know, really visualize you pass the fucking bar, bitch. You pass it, you get to post about it, you get to celebrate, you get to tell everyone, you get to start making plans. Like that's the energy I'm hoping as it manifests for you, especially with Venus involved. It's Venus retrograde. Like, want it, go after it, make it fucking happen. And I think that this will be a high, like a time of high stimulation and zingy celebration of like your competitive paid off, your efforts paid off, your discipline and motivation paid off, rather than this being a time where you're like kicking sand because you're like, oh, again, like I really think it's going to be good for you, TBH, but you know, make sure you decide that for yourself, because I want it to be good for you. Oh, and Mars is trining Saturn. I mean, Mars is trining Pluto on the 9th too. I think you're good. I truly think you're good. There's some tension, but the tension can be from like, there's a lot of pressure on this. There's, you know, pressure riding on the outcome. I think you're going to be good. But I know that was the main point, but, yeah, unexpected changes with financial things, complicated finances, money, debt, taxes, investments, student loans, fees. There could be some changes in things that you share with other people, roommates, money, relationships, I don't know, business partnerships, shared investments to some degree. That's more of a longer transit, and it's not aspecting anything too directly in your chart right now, so it probably doesn't matter much for you currently. That'll be more impactful for you in 2027. I think that's it. I think we covered everything. Yes, please. I'm glad that this is going to be recorded too, because I'm really excited for you. We're wrapping up the North Node in our 5th house. That'll end at the end of July once it moves into the 4th house. So we've been in a romantic transit since the beginning of 2025. But if it's not romance inclined for you, like if you've been going through a dry spell or something, it can really be a time where you selfishly figure out just like what you really want, what you're willing to put up with, what you desire in a relationship, rather than just kind of dealing with and tolerating anyone that comes on your path just because you're like bored or it's entertainment or something like that. Like, it's a lot more intentional, and you could have just introduced a lot more pleasure and desires into your life, where you're treating yourself more, you're indulging more, you're just like, I'm not going to do that because I just don't want to. And so that can get you closer to yourself. With the North Node moving into your home and family sector, it can be more private over the next year and a half, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're not going to meet someone. It could even mean that you're aligned with someone that really like knows you authentically, and maybe you meet them through family or something like that. Uranus, I would say, encourages you to, if you're actively dating, be open-minded to people that are not your usual type, or places that you typically wouldn't traditionally meet someone. Be open-minded, kind of let your freak flag fly. Say yes, you know, of course, trusting your gut, to the people where you're like talking yourself out of. You might find love in a hopeless place. You might kind of stumble across someone in an unexpected environment or something like that. I think that would be my advice to you. And the North Node is going to conjoin your natal Venus at the very end of this transit. So end of 2027 is pretty promising. Here, I'll give you the exact date. Oh, it's actually, I'm sorry, your Venus is at the end of Capricorn, so it's actually going to be a little later. Oh, a little bit. It's like we're already looking at spring of 2028. Hold on. And that's not to say you won't meet someone before then. Like, maybe you will, and this is when you get engaged or something like that. Okay, we'll talk in 2 years, May of 2018. I mean, 2028. Oh, I'm glad. I'm thankful for you, girl. I hope that this was helpful. And I'll make sure this is uploaded for you. And I'm excited for you. You know what? I already have celebratory energy for you for your bar exam, so I truly don't have a deep concern, other than if you know that over the next few months you're failing yourself and you should be trying a little bit harder, like things like that. That's the only thing that you need to prioritize, I think. And do it through your daily routine. Don't make it like harder than it needs to be. Don't wait until the middle of September. Like, sprinkle it in every single day. Make it fun. Okay, I have Vinny. Vinny, I just need your birth information when you have the chance. So it's your birth date, time, and city to the closest accuracy possible. And then I did just get someone's Shopify order. I do. Was it you, Babblings, that got the Shopify one? Or was that someone else? Okay, that was Jordan. Yes, I can do someone after Jordan. Babblings, if you want to get that one. And then I'll probably head out after that. So, Babblings, there's two. I'm going to do Vinny, and then there's one more person, and then it would be you. Okay, 7/11/2001. So many 2001 girly pops. 11:45 p.m. And we have so many New Yorkers. I love it. Okay, thank you for sending your info. Well, every time I do that noise, I laugh because that's the noise that I do to get my cat's attention. And I can see her out of my peripheral lift her head every time I do that. Excuse me. Why does it look dark as fuck in here? Okay. My posture. I have such a bad cracking body. I'm sorry, I know some people hate that noise, but like, and it's so bad, like everything resets after 10 minutes. Like the cracking, it's awful. Okay, Vinny. Oh, hold on. It made me do the puzzle piece thing. Okay, let's pull back to 2026 because we're in 2028. Need chopstick. Oh, okay, so Vinny, you actually just had a pretty difficult transit right around Valentine's Day, and it was the second pass you had of this transit. The first pass of it might have been last February, March. I want to say February, March. You had Saturn conjoin your moon. This is a very difficult transit, especially because Saturn is your malefic of sect, meaning it's your most difficult planet. It's going to usually give you the most problems, and that can bring a lot of loneliness and depression, either because circumstantially maybe things aren't that bad, but you're dealing with something mentally or emotionally, or it can literally bring housing issues. It can bring issues to the home, the family, the mother, the living situation, fertility, reproductive themes, your actual like living situation, housing security. I am offering live readings. I have, I think, 2 people in line after the one that I'm on, and they're usually about 15 minutes. 10-15 minutes. I try to keep them short and then I just don't shut the fuck up. So it's nice to know that that transit's behind you, because you did have you had 3 passes of it actually. So the beginning was spring of 2025, hung out there, and then it went retrograde, so went back over it again, and then around Valentine's Day, maybe a week after, second half of February, you had another pass of it. So if you were having difficult times through that, or you were having issues with your living situation, comfort with your body, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that you lost your mother. That's like the thing I never want to say, because that is oftentimes what, I don't want to scare anyone. It doesn't, when Saturn comes into contact with your moon, it does not always mean that your mother's going to pass away, but in a lot of cases that does happen. I'm so sorry that you're going through that. I can assume that you're still processing it. That's something that I think takes forever. Saturn, okay, so all right, now that I know that, Saturn teaches us things through taking away any possible comfort. So the reason that it has this depressing sort of like loneliness effect to it is because it removes the things that are typically our source of comfort, a vice, a crutch, something that we can lean on, something that we can run to. And obviously something like a mother, regardless of the relationship, even if someone has a very difficult relationship with their mother, it kind of like strikes a much harder chord, obviously, because our mom is our initial demonstration of nurturance and comfort and an oasis within life itself, like somewhere you can go back to. So when you have something like Saturn create so much discomfort, I know that this is not me giving you advice and I'm not preaching to you, so please, I'm going to try to be careful with my word choice here. I don't want you to think that I'm saying something harsh, because I'm not. Naturally, you don't have that thing. Like you don't have the, what's the word I'm looking for? When people use like squeezy toys, you don't have the comfort. You don't have the thing you can do to get the stress out. You don't have your mom to lean on. You don't have this oasis that we just described. This is a time where like something that might be being taught to you is that you need to now on your own, for whatever reason, this is a part of your path, learn how to stand up on your own 2 feet, despite, of course, give yourself time to process and feel through everything. This doesn't mean to be robotic or not allow yourself to feel things. There's going to be a really large lesson in the long term of this, where you prove to yourself that you can stand up on your own 2 feet and get through this alone. And that doesn't mean without the support of other people. You should seek support out from other people. You should lean into other people, especially other family if you can. I don't know the circumstances of your situation, but regardless of what they are, you will inevitably be able to prove to yourself and accidentally gain a lot of strength through what feels like your weakest time currently, so that when other things come up on your path, you're going to be like, I got through that. This is nothing. This is not nearly as difficult as that. I don't have the answers to why we have to go through awful things like this. I, through astrology, through faith, through teachings, always kind of have this takeaway that suffering is like our greatest teacher, and maybe that's cope. But Saturn going through over your moon, even if I didn't know the context of what you were going through, the advice that I give and will always continue to give is you're being chiseled into stronger stone than you believe that you are for some reason, and this will show you in hindsight that you are far more capable and stronger than whatever self-concept you have about yourself. So I do like that so to answer your question, this is over. You've gotten through the hardest of it, so you can celebrate that. I think that you've gotten over the hardest hump of it. Like, you've kind of hit the peak, the climax of like, likely the, how am I gonna get through this? How am I gonna do this every day? Like, And that's not to say that it's easier now, but we just had to go over your ascendant too. So that it will also not retrograde to it. That's going to be behind you. You won't experience this transit for another 27 to 30 years. So that's something to look forward to. I don't know if there's anything legal dealings that you had to deal with too. Anything having to do with property or home, family, maybe a will or an estate, an inheritance, a trust, anything like that. There might have been something like that, or something connecting to the family that was also very difficult. Obviously, you're probably all mourning, but I don't know if there's something else, especially with like siblings, aunts, uncles, people that are more extended family members, that also made this really difficult for you. Like communication or your day-to-day inevitably probably got harder, but there might have been variables that like were extra hard. Like if you're in school, or if you had to take time off of work, like you might have had a more difficult than usual transition through your processing of the passing of your mother because of external factors. Like other people or circumstances outside of you might have made this difficult time for you more annoying than it had to be. Inherited your mom's apartment, and I have been having heavy family issues since my mom passed. Yeah, that's what it looks like. So whether it's legal or not, there seems to be some sort of additional difficulty. Like, ideally, in a perfect world, this is where you get closer to your family because you lose someone, but obviously in some cases it can create more difficulty because people just get fucking crazy, and it brings up a lot of emotions, and there's no really right answer on how to process losing a family member. Obviously in your case it's your mother, so I'm a big believer in like, you're allowed to do whatever you want to do because that's your mom. But those things, I know I said it a few times now, but I want to reiterate that the hardest part's over. You had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You had 6 really difficult transits last spring, the processing through the fall once you lost your mother, and then up until the tight spot was probably February. And now all of that is done. It will not repeat. It will not repeat this year. It will not repeat until 27 years from now. So I do want to say, I don't want to promise something like this, of course, if you're still struggling, but I do want to give you hopeful encouragement that I do think the hardest part is over, at least in terms of everyone else being loud and annoying on your, like, demanding attention while you're dealing with this. I think that you kind of get to go now and at least actually process what the actual problem was, rather than the branches of other things that got increasingly annoying considering what was going on. The other thing worth mentioning is that Saturn's going to be in your first house. Your first house is self-identity, who you are, what you look like. It's you as an individual, is going to be in this area of your life until 2029. Now, I don't want that to discourage you into thinking that your life is going to be awful for the next 3 years. Saturn going through the first house is usually one of the more difficult transits of Saturn, because it's you. It's who you are. It's your identity. People can really struggle with their looks. People can feel like life is just kicking them down. They take 1 step forward, 10 steps back. It can feel like the walls are just closing in on you. It doesn't feel like that the whole time. I do sometimes feel like it's the first half of the transit. But what I do like to see is, as you're making your way through this transit, you're going to have a lot of positive aspects to planets in your 9th house, which is traveling, faith, perspective, belief, hope, optimism, Sometimes it's moving, it's distance, it's traveling, it's getting outside of your environment. And I think changing your environment can usually be a catalyst to healing through something. If you're in the same place that you were in when something really traumatizing happened, it makes sense that you'd kind of be stagnant in that energy. So there might be an opportunity to move or get some space or go on vacation or something that I think might help you throughout this transit. It can also really improve your faith and bring you closer to what you believe, like spiritual beliefs, religion. And that's not me encouraging that against your will. There just might be a natural inclination towards those things throughout this journey, or even just regaining faith in yourself and strength in yourself. So I like to see that those are working in your favor. There's a lot of soul searching that can come up with Saturn in the first house, because it's like a wrecking ball coming in and knocking you down into like, you know, falling apart in order for you to rebuild yourself brick by brick, but in a way that's going to be far stronger and not so susceptible to falling apart, which can oftentimes be ushered in through a traumatic event, through something life altering, through something that really tests your strength. And that's, again, not to be insensitive or invalidate your pain or say like, oh, you have to go through this to be strong. Like, I would never say that to someone. I think one of the advantages that you can take away from this, though, and this isn't me giving you homework, it will inevitably happen, is that by the end of this transit, as we get towards the end of the decade, so very early 2029, I think you're going to be so much more of a bulletproof person than you feel that you are now. Especially, you're very young, like you're very young, and you're going through coming of age transits at the same time as something that is naturally destabilizing your life and going to kind of bring this like natural sort of chaos. So just in general, someone that I'm reading for that's like 25 years old, I always need to be like everything's not as bad as you think it is. Everything's not as hard as you think it is. It just feels like that right now. Like who I was and where I was when I was 25 was like suffocating. And so to have this additional layer on top of it, I can see why it would feel like you're losing air, like it feels very tight, but you really, for your own sake, just need to keep your head above the water, because it will and does get easier. You're having a stronger testing transit in the midst of your younger developmental years, which is good in the long run because you're doing the hard part now. And you'll probably be one of those people that's celebrating at the end of your 20s into your early 30s when other people are starting to become miserable. And maybe that sounds bad, but like this can be one of those things where it's like you're knocking out the hardest things in life now in order to make room for what's going to be a worry-free, very strong and celebratory time moving forward. These 3 years can feel very difficult. It's probably just going to be through next summer and maybe through like 2027. And again, that's not to say it's going to be hard every single day. This isn't something you feel at full volume every single day. It's like a background hum where it just feels like some things are paying off in your favor, some things that you've been trying really hard to do for a long time are like working out, while other things that you've been exhausted of are still working your nerves. So it's going to be, you know, it's something you need to take step by step, baby steps every single day. But to answer your question, I do think the hardest part is behind you in terms of everyone being annoying, everything being annoying, you not being able to have space and comfort to grieve properly. I think now you'll have some relaxation in that. There could even be things with your career or your direction or your path that might be changing or shifting a little bit, or maybe coming to a pause, or you're delaying them, or you're taking time to focus on yourself before you dive in the deep of like going gung-ho, into your career. The reason I say that is because Saturn was also like probably a few weeks ago coming into contact with the most private area of your life and then the most public area of your life. So a lot of tension between your home and family and your career and your public image. So naturally, Saturn forging a wedge in between those two things is saying that there's a hard stop or a halt or a delay or an obstacle or a hindrance to making progress with these things. Again, it's behind you. You've since passed that. But Saturn rules your career sector. So your career, your public image, your reputation. It also rules your friendships, your larger dreams and ambitions. So that it might feel like there's naturally a slowness to them right now. In terms of expansion, you have Uranus, which is shock, unpredictability, things changing very abruptly, going through your area of life that can be a little bit overlooked because it's like the tedious things in your everyday life. It's like your habits, your routines, your skills, things like that. So I want to, if you are a makeup artist, the thing that I would encourage you to do most is social media and word of mouth. Do like a referral program locally, like work with people that are in school, do like proms, do things like that, because the third house is everything in your immediate environment and like in your city. It's also things online. It's like the gossip of the town. It's how people talk to each other, things like that. So you might be able to rapidly expand through utilizing those variables, especially if you have siblings or cousins or someone like that you can work on as a canvas and like showcase your work and build your portfolio. I think that would be very beneficial to you. Definitely utilize social media and who you know, and who you know knows other people. You know, your interconnectedness socially is something that should be very beneficial for you as well. Especially because the North Node is going to really bring a lot of spotlight and progression to the area of life that rules your bigger dreams and ambitions at the end of June. At the end of July. So the end of July for the next year and a half, there's going to be a lot of focus on your big dreams, your goals, your life direction, who you're connected to, your influence on other people, the services you provide for other people supporting you. If you feel comfortable like sharing your story online, I think is something that can really serve as a catalyst to you growing online, which then will build your clientele, and expanding in that way. Jupiter will be going through your 4th house of home and family, so naturally your private life. That's wrapping up the transit, and that will be finished at the end of June. And that will then move into your 5th house, which is similarly self-employment and entrepreneurship and talent, entertainment, content creation, putting yourself out there, you being the star of the show, you being on stage, you getting recognition. I think, ironically, despite you, this is why astrology is all encompassing, because I started this saying you're going to see that you're stronger than you think you are. You're going to see that you're more capable. You're going to be establishing yourself. You're having the growing pains of being in your mid-20s while also going through something difficult. You're having very fun and celebratory transits as we get through the summer, alongside you going through something incredibly difficult. And I think that that's a nod to the fact that life, unfortunately, when we lose someone, still goes on. But I think you're going to have a nice segue, a nice smooth story of the more you pour into your talents and your desires and the things that make you feel good, the more that you don't have to have this manual drive and effort despite you going through a hard time. I think like your artistry can be both an outlet of grieving for you while also provide over time a pretty sustainable career. And I think that by showcasing, capturing, sharing your work, it will not only attract the right friends and people to you. This might be a chapter 2 where you see who your real friends are, not because something bad is going to happen with like fake friends or something, but I think you're just going to naturally see like who you can lean on during a tough time versus who just might not be a full effort friend, while really building your skill set as well. Yes, you can Cash App and I'm just going to go in order. I think there might be 3 or 4 people in line currently. Yes, so personally, I believe that like if my friend lost somebody, granted I'm a little bit older than you, but like if my friend lost someone, especially a parent, in my mind, I'm like, they don't need to do anything. Like it is my job to be so annoying and on top of them to make sure that they're good, because most people, when they go through something like this, they accidentally self-isolate because you're depressed, you're upset, you don't want to like bother anyone, you don't want to be a nuisance, you don't want to inconvenience anyone. And so I want to say to you, like, try not to self-isolate, but I also totally understand if you do, and I do think sometimes you need time to yourself when you go through something like this. But really, on the more positive side of things, try to pay attention to who is checking up on you and in your corner. And if people don't, try not to be like, oh my god, everyone hates me. Like, try not to let that play into some negative self-talk or something. It says more about them than it does you. Yeah, and like, again, if I didn't know what you were going through, Saturn through the first house, it can be a lonely time. It can be where you're lonely and you're like, no fucking way, I'm doing this all by myself, which inherently, unfortunately, makes you stronger. And this could very well turn into a time where you might go from being upset to angry to, if everyone else is just going to focus on themselves, that's what I'm going to do. And then that pours into your success. And you might be the friend that people haven't heard from in 8 months because your fucking mom died and you're super sad and everyone wants to have a fun summer. And maybe someone should check up on you and that doesn't happen. And then you're like blowing up on TikTok 9 months from now and you're like getting brand deals and you're made. And then you go move to a different city or something like that and make new friends that believe in you and are rooting for you. That's, of course, like such an extreme example, but that's what I'm kind of saying here is all these things are connected. And I know right now is like time for you to be painfully selfish. Do what makes you feel better. Hang out with who's helping you. If people say, what can I do? And you think they're just saying it to be nice, take them up on the offer. Say, this is exactly what you could do. Please, I will send you money. Please go to the fucking grocery store for me. I'm depressed. Please come over and hang out with me. I don't like being alone right now. Like, really be selfish. Utilize people's help who does show up for you. Of course, try not to take advantage of people. People that aren't showing up for you, you don't need to check on them. They're not checking up on you. If you truly love doing makeup, not because it's a cool job or because you think it's a quick way to be successful or whatever it is, if you truly love it because it's like you're passionate about it, do that as much as you can. I think that it will be a good outlet for you. Romantically, you do have the South Node going through your romantic sector, so this might be a time of unlearning things that you used to like and want in someone. You realize you just don't want anymore. There can be some people that are toxic that come up on your path, so try to keep your eyes and your ears peeled and definitely respect the red flags as they come up. Sometimes an ex can come back with this. It's a longer transit, it's a 1.5 years, so it's not something that is just randomly going to happen like next month, but it's worth knowing that the romantic area of your life is actually asking to be released while simultaneously becoming overwhelming. Like, you might get a lot of options, but that doesn't mean that they're good options. The same way that you might, be getting a lot of opportunities, but you only want to say yes to the ones that are making you happy rather than doing them out of obligation or anything like that. I hope that makes sense, but I think that we covered everything with that. I am rooting for you, girl, and I'm sending you a lot of love. I'm sorry for what you're going through. I'm glad that we're speaking a few months out because I think the dust has kind of settled, at least astrologically it has, and I think you'll have a fair environment and experience now to like fucking peacefully process this on your own. But I am rooting for you. I'm wishing that some good friends and good family come up on your path and help you with this so you don't have to do it alone. But be selfish, ask for help, and focus on you. Focus on yourself. The housing stability, you could move. That might not be until next year. Jupiter, the very end of June looks very promising. Actually, first week of July. End of June, you might see some progress, but first week of July is heavily supporting your living situation and your family and your emotions. Like, the tides may turn at the beginning of July for you in terms of feeling supported with all of those themes, because the moon rules all of that. It's your home, your family, living situation, your feelings, and you're going to be having a lot of support there. I'm wishing you luck, girl. I hope that this was helpful. And again, this will be on YouTube, so everyone can reference this later, but I hope that that helped you. Let me check Cash App. I know I have timestamps on these guys, so I'll be able to see who sent in which order. Let me see. Okay, we just did Vinny, right? Yes. Lindsay, I just saw yours come through. I have to go on Zelle. I'm like, this is so funny that I'm doing this on my iPad. I shouldn't be drinking coffee at this hour, but whatever. Excuse me. Let me pull this down here. Thank you, Amethyst. Okay, hold on one second. My nails, I'm dead. What's my password? Okay, wait, let me pull this down. Okay, wait, let me pull this down. Okay, I believe I have Jordan up next. Wait, guys, tell me if someone's missing. I have... Hold on, I'm gonna tell you the names in order. Okay, I have Jordan, Allie, and I feel like I'm gonna botch this name. Is it Geraldine? And then Lindsay. I think that was it, right? And Jordan, you were first, right? Jordan, if you can you just send it on here? Because if I go to my DM, it like gets out of the live and it like screws it up. Or... yeah, wait, if you can do that, that would be very helpful. Thank you. It's in Australia. I know the Rihanna stuff, oh my god. I wouldn't say I'm right yet. I don't really like to say I'm right until something's like printed. But right in the sense of like, people are shitting on her for sure. Some people are shitting on her, some people are in defense of her, I suppose. Okay. So this is for Jordan, right? Yes. Okay, Jordan, you're an Aquarius rising. Okay, so you have Jupiter wrapping up your the growth, expansion, abundance, opportunity in your 6th house of work, health, routine, lifestyle, your day-to-day things, which can sometimes to some people feel boring. because it's like the things that go on in your everyday life. This is like what time you get up in the morning, the food that you eat, if you work out, if you don't work out, it's your pets, it's how you take care of other people, it's the labor of which your every single day lifestyle requires. So Jupiter going through here sometimes can actually bring like metaphysical terms to your health, like maybe doing yoga, doing meditation, doing EFT tapping, getting a therapist, getting an astrologer, having a more holistic approach to your health, I guess you could say, or maybe doing different diets, things like that. It can also be that you're exercising more, you started working out more. This transit started last June and you're wrapping it up at the end of this June. It can also bring teaching, education, traveling for work, taking courses, being a teacher to like a newcomer or a coworker or something like that, or you working under somebody else. It can be going back to school. It can be being both a teacher and a student when it comes to work, health, and routine, how you take care of yourself, basically. And then it's going to move into your 7th house of relationships as we get towards the end of June, so June 30th, basically July, and it'll be there for about a year. So this is going to bring growth, expansion, abundance, opportunity, room to explore yourself, room to be curious, to the people that you date, to the people that you're very close to, your interpersonal relationships. It can bring a lot more clients if you do client work. It can bring sales. It can bring business partnerships if that's something that is relevant to you. You might, if you are single, you might start dating someone overseas, far away, long distance. Maybe they speak a different language, they are from a different religion, they're very knowledgeable, or maybe they're a teacher or something like that of some sort. Or it could just be that you have a lot of lovers. It can be that you attract different options. It can be that you are maybe staying single, remaining single, and just doing a lot of introspection on what relationships mean to you and what you expect out of them. You might need to help someone else in your life more, like other people around you might require your help or your support more for whatever reason, or like your wisdom, your teaching. If you are in a relationship, this can be a great time where you take the next step, you get engaged, you move in together, you get married, you have a child together. You're gonna have, I'll give you, it can typically be like a pregnancy transit or an engagement transit of some sort. You're gonna have it around, let's see, I think the middle of August. That's the first pass of it, at least. It's gonna go over your, I'm sorry, middle of September. Jupiter is gonna conjoin your ascendant, or your descendant, I mean, so that's your closest relationships. And then, so we're really looking at fall as we get towards, I think into early October. Yeah, we'll say middle of September to middle of October. It can be a time of heightened romantic connections or traveling for romance. It can be taking the next step, expansion here, pregnancy, fertility, conceiving, engagement, anything like that. You're also, ironically though, around your birthday. Is that this year? No, that won't be until next year, never mind. Those are just dates to keep an eye on. Okay, you're single, so you might meet someone. Someone might fall into your path unexpectedly too. Because even if you go to the beginning of early September, that might be where you unexpectedly meet someone and then like you're dating, you're having a good time. If it happens to not be romantic at all, there could just be a lot of like, you might get an opportunity through a close friend, or there might be something that positively works in your favor in a very beneficial or lucky way through the vessel of someone very close to you. So that's something you can look forward to again in early fall, or if you're in school, going back to school, anything like that. That could be relevant to whatever these opportunities or growth is. You could just be making a lot more friends. You could be more social, any sort of growth and depth with people very close to you. And I also think that you might meet someone because you had Uranus move into your romantic sector last July. You got like a preview, a taste test of it, and then it just moved into here more permanently. It's going to be here for the next 7 to 8 years. As of, I think, maybe 6 weeks ago, maybe almost 2 months ago. Uranus is shock, it's unpredictability, it's things coming out of left field, things kind of coming out of the blue, and that is erupting and shaking and bringing a lot of surprises and instability, but also unpredictable fun things like excitement, authenticity to your romantic sector. So if it's not romantic right now too, and again, this is a longer transit, so there might not be anything stimulating happening right now, but over the next 7 to 8 years, you can attract people that are totally not your usual type, or are very exciting but very up and down. Last June we had the beginning. Oh, last June you actually had oh wait, no, that was before that. did the breakup affect your friendships for whatever reason, or maybe like your living situation, or like the city that you're in, the people that you're around, things on social media? You had like a difficult transit at the time that isn't a typical breakup transit, but it can be like a sobering wake-up call, or like finding out something painful, or like having to cut things off pretty, like, it's very tense, and it's like harsh and sobering and very black and white. It's not too emotionally concerned. It's kind of like bad news, or getting a slap on the wrist, or having to cut something off very coldly, which that's not to say that it's not emotional, but it's usually like a serious, like not like a back and forth. Okay, last June, maybe that was the first pass of Uranus moving into your relationship cycle, because that usually it brings shock and unpredictability to your romantic situation. So maybe the first pass was the breakup, and now the second pass in could be the introduction of someone new, or finding out like maybe things that you liked about your ex you don't like now, or things that you were attracted to about them you do not want in the next person. Like, it brings very polarizing and authentic reality checks to the people that you're romantically involved in. It is also like talent and joy and happiness and pleasure and what you truly want, like on a soul level, what you desire, even outside of romance, like what makes you happy, what is fun to you, what lights you up inside, what makes your inner child happy, all of that. So you might start to now, especially that you're single, experiment with getting closer to the answer of what these things are for you. You also have, oh, this is a single era, girl. You can date, but this is a single era, because you have the North Node at the end of July moving into your first house. Everyone else has been having the flip of this. Like, everyone else is a Leo rising that I've been reading for, so I've been having to tell them, like, you need to shed things about yourself, you need to release things about yourself, you need to prioritize your relationships, where in your case, you're having the North Node go through your first house, which is literally about you. What you want, who you are, figuring out what you want, being selfish, saying yes to things that please you. Like, you kind of naturally don't need to worry about anyone else, and that's not to say to like be a bad friend or a bad partner or something like that, but you might start to see people in your life drop like flies, and that's not to scare you, but in finding your own authentic path and doing what truly makes you happy and being who you really are over the next 18 months, it might piss people off around you, it might ruffle people's feathers, people might start to get competitive and weird with you, it might make other people uncomfortable that you're changing or becoming more of yourself. People might get competitive and weird, or if it's not malicious, it can just be that there's distance between really close relationships now. Circumstantially, some of your friends get in a relationship, or they move, or they're super busy with work, and like distance begins there, but there could just be a recalibration of the people closest to you, for better or for worse, but there's a release point in your relationship sector and a priority in you, who you are, your individuality, who you are on your own, rather than a participant within closer relationships. And that's kind of fun, because you get to chisel down throughout the entirety of the transit, like getting closer and closer to the mushy meat center of like who you are. So you'll have a very clear idea at the end of this transit, which isn't going to be until the end of 2027, early 2028, like who you really are, and feeling more confident and assured in that sense. Saturn and Neptune have been going through your third house, so you have about 3 years with Saturn and about 14 with Neptune, and this brings a level of seriousness and discipline and responsibility to how you communicate with people. So setting firmer boundaries, this is getting more realistic and practical, like listening, watching what people do rather than just listening to what they say, valuing people's actions more than what comes out of their mouth, and also doing so yourself. Like, you might be like, okay, if I say I'm gonna do this thing, I need to follow through with it. If I say I want this thing, I need to like prove it with my actions. There could be a level of if you have any sort of career or hobby with speaking, talking, writing, broadcasting, podcasting, using your voice, anything with travel or studying, education, children, your immediate environment, transportation. I know that that's a lot of different things, but things that kind of connect point A to point B in like everyday life circumstances, there might be a level of seriousness or building authority and structure within these themes. You could have car problems. There could be some sort of difficulty with like distance, or variables that should typically be quite easy in terms of getting around or communicating clearly, like getting more difficult with other people for whatever reason. And sometimes it can be that you're mentally struggling. Like sometimes it can be that you're having anxiety or depression, so it's making it harder to think or like get the words out. Okay, so if you like influencer marketing and you want to stay in that, I think that this is a good time. Like over the next 3 years, you're really going to be establishing yourself very seriously, to be taken seriously as an authority figure. This could be like building a portfolio in a way. It can be streamlining things to where you're like taking on the harder or the more heavy hitting work that you enjoy and then like outsourcing other things to other people. Kind of like slowly taking the steps up, almost like climbing the ladder, whatever that looks like for your specific role or job. You might get a promotion, you might be needing to prove yourself. There might be some level of difficulty with like the variables of what your job requires, or like things with the internet or accessibility or communication between you and client. There's like tension, but the tension leads to reward in the long run. You also might have, oh wait, we're looking at October. You might have, I think, hello, can this load? You might like currently and very recently, I know this sounds kind of weird, had like good emotional support or responsibility in facing a certain situation, maybe emotionally. Like you might feel like you're maturing or you're not handling things as erratically or emotionally as you typically would. Like you might feel like you're kind of more level-headed and mature about something currently. Sticking to your guns in a way. And this can even be like temptation. This doesn't have to be super emotional. This can be like having stronger willpower. If you don't feel like going to the gym, you still go. If you know you shouldn't be eating this thing, like you can stick to it. You know, those are like silly examples, but being more practical and level-headed with those things. Is there an issue with your living situation right now, or emotionally though? Is there loneliness, depression, mental health issues, solitude, escapism, addiction, being stuck in the past, feeling stuck emotionally or mentally? Anything with the home, family, mom, living situation might be difficult currently. And it won't stay that way, but there's tension with that for whatever reason right now, psychologically or within your circumstances, things in your everyday life becoming a little bit harder than usual for some reason. Okay, yeah, you have it like, hold on, let me get to the exact day that we're on. Dude, oh my god, my nails, I like can't type on here. Hey girl. Oh my god, I'm sorry. I don't know why this is on the 6th. I'm trying to get to like current day, because I think it literally was just a few days ago. The peak of it, at least. You might still feeling like the reverb of it, but I mean, it's not even that important. But I'm trying to like give you the exact day. Dude, the Wi-Fi in this Airbnb. Okay. Yes, wait. The 11th, 12th. So it was creeping up the last week, I would say. The tension or the discomfort of it. Tension in the home, family, living situation, emotional world, sense of safety and security. And as we get to the 15th, you have it at 39 minutes and Saturn is at, it's today. Today's the hardest part of it, which is good because that means it's peaking. So tomorrow onward, it will be easier, whatever that is. It was probably like, it peaked around noon. around noon today. Sorry, I don't know why I just got so zoomed in on that. It literally wasn't important. But yeah, a lot of focus on self and identity for the next year and a half. A lot of expansion and growth within your relationship sector. There could be some unexpected and unpredictable shifts and changes, new beginnings, some endings romantically and creatively in terms of your desires, what you want in life, figuring out what you truly want, even if that means your path is changing directions. And really starting to take because your job has to do with communication and content and stuff like that, these things becoming more serious and structured, but essentially over time leading to a payoff of proving yourself and your skills and what you're good at, building those things brick by brick. I think that's all of it. Yeah, I think that covers all of it. And you similarly don't have anything super difficult going on except for what I just said. And you're over it. You're basically pretty much past it. Yeah, I think that is it. I'm double checking to make sure nothing is super hard. You might start to feel a little disoriented maybe with job stuff if it's not your job, with like your faith, your beliefs, what you want to do, your life path, like what direction you want to go in over probably for the remainder of the year in a quiet background noise way. It doesn't have to be the loudest thing ever, but there might be some curiosity in terms of like, am I living in the right city? Am I doing the right job? Am I friends with the right people? Am I going down the right path? That has a lot to do with life direction and hindsight and foresight and feeling a little bit disoriented there. So it's an experimental time. So try new things, get outside your comfort zone. If you're considering things, try them, because that's the only way you're going to get the answer. In terms of the questions like that, like when will I find my partner, that is like, those I usually do for question readings or something, because that takes a long time to give you a legitimate answer. Like I said, you have through September and I think the first half of October, really good romantic transits. So I'm not going to confidently tell you, oh, you're meeting the one this fall, but those are transits that typically indicate a lot of romantic celebration and opportunity available to you. So I would keep my eye on that area in terms of the hot spot. If you're like, some people are very dead serious on like, I need to know when, I would book like a mini reading or something like that, because that's something I have to sit and like literally go through the years to try and manually find like where you're having a life event, marriage wise, romantically, things like that. But I hope this was helpful for you. And again, for whoever is listening, these get uploaded onto YouTube. I think I'm just gonna do the rest of who I have here and then get off of here, because I literally like always say that I'm not gonna be on here long, and then what do? I stay on here forever. But I hope that was helpful for you. Of course. Thank you for trusting me. It means a lot to me that you guys trust me with this stuff. Okay, give me 1 second. I need to just see who the next person. Thank you for trusting me. It means a lot to me that you guys trust me with this stuff. Okay, give me 1 second. I need to just see who the next person. Okay, I have Allie. I do have your information on the website, but is there any way you can send it here? Just so I don't have to stay paused for too long. I can use your information if you don't feel like sharing it here if you want, Allie, but just if you can conveniently send it here, I would prefer that. But it's literally no big deal if you want to keep it anonymous. Oh my gosh, guys, my back is killing me. Yes, Allie, you are next. I was saying if you can send your birth information in the chat, that way I can pull it up on here. So, because I know that you sent it on the website, thank you. It'll just take a long time. Also, if I'm skipping really bad on your end, I know that that's annoying. I can't really do anything about that, but this will be recorded and uploaded, because I've had issues like this before where someone like paid for a reading and then even if they like had to get off of it because of work or something, just know that I will still do your reading and it will get uploaded. You will have access to the reading that you paid for And if for whatever reason, for anyone who's listening, if something happened, I would literally just refund you. No one needs to panic about anything like that. You're welcome. Thank you for sending it here. That made my life a lot easier. Okay, oh my god, my posture. Oh, happy belated birthday. Hello, that's exciting. Excuse me. Okay. Okay, so you also might meet someone very unexpectedly, honestly, out of the blue. I've seen this happen because I'm friends with a lot of Sagittarius risings, and I've literally seen this occur for them. So if you're in a relationship, this can be a time of like deepening your romantic relationship. Sometimes that can be through struggle or things getting a little bit more frustrating or serious, and that leads to deepening it. But if you are single, you might unexpectedly meet someone, or if you are dating someone relatively new, it can feel like an exciting time where you're in like that. Okay, yeah, so if you're completely single, you might meet someone. I literally had a Sagittarius rising friend that went through like a major breakup at the beginning of 2025 maybe, and I was like, you're gonna meet someone this summer, and she was like, no. Literally met someone and she's been with him since. I use Astrology, yeah, so I can like zoom through the transits quickly. So Uranus is unpredictability, it's shock factor, it's things that are going up and down. Like, why did I just say that? Things that can be very up and down in a way that's exciting and authentic, but sometimes destabilizing or a little chaotic. So I will tell you, when Uranus entered my relationship sector, someone that I had already known and already tried with romantically, like I began dating as soon as it entered my partner sector, my relationship sector. But it was a very authentic relationship. It was like my first relationship. It was very intense and real and raw, but it was very unstable, very chaotic, and it did carry me a few years out. That's not to say that you're gonna have a bad experience with this, but it can attract partners that are really fun and insane, but where you're like, this is like, I can't do the inconsistency. I can't deal with I feel like I'm in love with this person and then I feel like I don't speak to them for 3 weeks. Like, it can have an on and off and up and down sort of thing to it. It's the excitement of going on a roller coaster and the fear of like, oh my god, this is gonna hurt, this is gonna die, I mean, this is gonna, I'm at risk of dying on this ride. So it can be a ride, that's really what it is. But over the next 7 to 8 years, you're gonna experience a lot of that, and that's not limited to just romance. You might find that people that you're just very close with, you have falling outs with, or you separate from, you unexpectedly have a confrontation with, or you just very randomly never speak to them again. As someone that just finished this transit and you are now entering it, I literally have a whole thread on Twitter of every single thing that happened throughout this transit to me. It threw my relationships into a whirlwind. Like, people I never thought I would never not be super close to left my life. There was a lot of experimental energy with close relationships. I had very high highs and very low lows with the people closest to me. A lot of separations, but also a lot of meeting people that I like was more authentically aligned with, that I did not expect to be the type of person I would get along with really well. So that's going to be a lot to look forward to. I'll tell you, probably in the next, maybe in through like early fall or something, it's gonna square your moon, which can be a very shocking, emotional chapter. I don't know how this is going to manifest for you. Like, that's the thing, is even though we have the foresight of seeing the transit, Uranus is expecting the unexpected. Something about your life is going to take a turn that you likely didn't expect, and you have to roll with the punches and kind of act like you've been here before and know what you're doing. That's the only way that you're going to navigate it. Like, the more you try to force things or keep things the same or deny change, that can be when it becomes very turbulent and like catastrophic. There could be something with your home, family, or living situation that you depart from or that changes. You might move out. You might have to move to a totally new property. There could be a falling out with a roommate. There could be something unexpected happening with your mom, or even with your own pregnancy or something like that. If you don't want to conceive, be careful. There can be something with your career that changes like overnight, and that can be good or bad. These things aren't inherently good or bad. It's just unexpected. It's unpredictable. It's like spinning the wheel of fortune and like truly not knowing what you're going to land on. So there can be a lot of excitement too that comes with this, but you have to embrace the fact that it's likely going to be very unstable and wonky and look like, oh my God, how am I going to find my footing given these circumstances? But you will figure it out. You just have to embrace it. The only way, what is it? The only way over it is through it, or something like that. Try to lean into the excitement of it rather than, this is the other thing too. If you know that the change is coming, that's good, because that might reflect that it's internal. Like maybe you won't move, maybe your career won't change, but maybe there's something where you're shifting, and this is like when you start to birth it. Like if you, I don't know, sometimes people like come out of the closet, sometimes people are like, yeah, I'm not a true Christian. Like this has just been sometimes the mask we wear, or the cloak we sort of just adopt because that's all we've ever known, or something starts to come off. So if you feel those like onion layers starting to peel off, you might be the chaos in someone else's life. Like usually this is going to be people that you're close with bringing the chaos, but in terms of it squaring your moon, there can be a really big emotional shift or change, or letting go of some sort. I feel very light in telling this to you too. Like, so I'm not getting a bad feeling, to be clear. You had Saturn, you might have had a difficult time around Valentine's Day as well, around February, because you had Saturn conjoin your natal Venus, which can bring relationship difficulties, usually romantic, especially because it's literally in your romantic sector, but it can bring like a rough spot, a dry spell, tension, obstacles, hindrances, delays, frustrations, annoyingness, sobering sort of boredom to your romantic life, to your dating life. If you have children, sometimes difficulty with them. Or just general happiness and joy, like feeling like I'm bored, I'm uninspired, I feel like nothing is moving, there's like an itch you can't scratch or something like that. So it's squaring your moon, which is home and family, and you, like your emotional needs, and it's in your career sector. So that's your career, your public image, your reputation, your success, things that other people can see about you very, very openly, very publicly. So whatever this change is, isn't going to be quiet and isn't going to be secretive. Like it's not something that happens behind closed doors. It's likely going to be blunt and like something that other people are like aware of. You're also going to have, you just recently had your nodal reversal, which again is when everyone has this around when they turn 27 years old, or 28 years old, I should say, where the plans that you had for yourself and the vision that you had of your life likely flips on its head and like goes in a totally different direction, or you start to realize that things that you wanted up until this point you just don't want anymore, or your life path sort of alters down a different path. And it can be, again, similarly a time where you have to kind of embrace the changes rather than resisting them. The unhappiness can come from forcing a fate that's just not occurring for you. But this is also happening between the most private area of your life and the most public area of your life. So your home, your family, your anchor, your living situation, your foundation, and then your public image, your reputation, your success, your career, and your professional world. So having this change occur now, and it also electrocuted like so many things in your chart, and it currently is electrocuting your relationship sector, and you're in such a pivotal time. Like I'm picturing tectonic plates like that have been stuck for so long or stagnant, like moving really intensely. The four main areas of life for you are getting like pivotal energy so strongly. It's your first house of self and identity, who you are, your fourth house of home and family, living situation, where you come from, your seventh house of your closest relationships, regardless of the nature of the relationships, who you're associated with very closely, and then your 10th house of your career, your public image, your reputation, and your success, what people can see about you very publicly. So all four areas of your life, the skeleton of your chart is like being churned a point, and it's like whether you're moving in a totally different direction, you're taking a new path, or you're stepping into just a new version of yourself, it's going to bleed into those areas of life. Your relationships are going to change, something with your home, family, or private life is shifting, and naturally the way people perceive you, or something with your career is inevitably experience a change as well, because you are changing. So it's going to kind of shake out and send rumblings to the other areas of the chart. As we get towards the end of July or the end of June, Jupiter is going to move into your 9th house. So this is going to open up a year-long transit of traveling, faith, philosophy, education, getting outside your comfort zone, being experimental. You might go back to school, you might learn something new, you might take a new course, you might head in a different direction than you planned, you might travel for work, you might travel for fun. It is like where the world opens up to you. Jupiter through the 9th house is literally the saying, the world is your oyster. Like you get to go out there and take it, because the 4 parameters that have been boxing you into one version of yourself, one lifestyle, just suddenly aren't there anymore. It's like you have free range to kind of explore uncharted territory. So there's a lot of freedom and curiosity that starts to really become the spotlight of your life. It can be very spiritual too, very spiritual, very knowledge hungry, very curious, very wanting to speak to like a mentor or a professional or a therapist or a teacher or someone who's done the things that you want to do already, so that you can get some wisdom through them, and gaining a lot of wisdom through your lived experience. And again, you might move, and you might move far away, because Jupiter rules your 4th house of home and family. So having it move into that area of the chart can look like you're moving far away, can take you out of your familiarity. It's embracing what's unfamiliar to you. It also rules your 1st house of self and identity, so this is very much centric to you. And then towards the very end of that transit, like next summer, maybe June, July, you have probably July, maybe even early August of 2027, you have a pregnancy transit or a moving abroad thing. So if this is, I'm going back to school to finish my bachelor's and work for the year. Okay, so maybe the whole year is about like school, studying, education. You might end the transit with moving. That is like far more specific in terms of like changing location. I really think like next summer, maybe very, very early fall, you will move or change location to some degree. Go is life. I love that. And you'll have the South Node going through the 9th house as well. So again, changing your environment, getting used to a new lifestyle, a new city, a new place, new people, new creating your new normal. I hate that phrase. It's like so reminiscent of COVID, but that's really what it means. And yeah, taking romantic connections more seriously. If you have a talent or a pleasure or something that brings you a lot of joy, creating more structure and like seriousness around those things can be quite rewarding, especially if you have a skill that you want to monetize or something, or you want to start your own business or something like that. Take content creation seriously, anything like that, that will be very rewarding for you as well, as long as you take it seriously. If you start to, on your path, romantically feel like you are being tested or having to learn lessons, karmic lessons, take them seriously, because you have your Saturn return in your 5th house, not until 2020, next year, and 2028, I believe. But it's creeping up on you. It's giving you signs, it's giving you previews. So romantically, don't cut corners, don't try to you know when you're being good and you know when you're being bad romantically, and just be good. Now is the time to be good, because you might have to learn something the hard way. But I think that that's all I have for you. And you just had a difficult transit too, very short-lived. It was probably like 2 days. But it was literally the last 3 days. Was something annoying happening, or something romantically, or just with joy and pleasure? Was there something you wanted to do and you couldn't do it, or something like that? It's like a noogie. It's like a frustrating sort of transit. But it was literally like the last 2 or 3 days and you're over it, so that's good. But yeah, I think that that's what I have for you. Don't see anything super difficult. Just change, just a lot of change in the people you're close to, and everything that you're used to. Your B-Day was frustrating. Oh, okay. You May 4th. Oh, on your birthday, I wasn't even looking at that transit, but it was conjunct. You had Mars conjunct Mercury on your birthday, which is usually like people pissing you off, friends pissing you off, disagreements, confrontations, frustrations, a headache, sometimes even getting sick, being angry, being in a bad mood. It literally lasts a day or two sometimes, but that's annoying that it fell on your birthday. I'm sorry. I hope that was helpful for you though, girly pop. And this will be uploaded along with everyone else. Bullied by raccoons. You poor thing. Well, happy belated birthday. It's a new year. 28's a big one. It is a big one. It's a life changer. So embrace it. You're welcome, girl. Okay, I have one more on. Is it Iona Teffy? Friend you're about to buy, please don't leave. If you are getting getting a reading, get that shit right now. Because I was not supposed to do another one. I have one more person. But if you want it very bad, I will do it. Hold on, let me go. Because I was not supposed to do another one. I have one more person. But if you want it very bad, I will do it. Hold on, let me get to the last. Geraldine, is that how I say this name? I feel like I'm botching it. Amethyst, yes. I believe that's you, correct? Oh, yes, Lindsay, you are. I'm sorry. I forgot that you did it on Cash App. Okay, so 2 people before Iona Teffy. I'm sorry if that's not how you say your name either. God, I'm so sorry, guys. Gigi, okay. Am I pronouncing it right, though? Just out of curiosity, am I pronouncing it right? And can you just send your birth information when you have a free moment? Okay, I have to pee. I'm gonna keep this on. Be patient with me, please. Oh, Geraldine. Why am I adding an extra? I'm like Geraldine. I'm a fucking idiot, bro. Okay, give me 2 seconds. Huh? Do you want something to eat? Okay, y'all. I really am trying to aim to get off of here at 9. We'll see how far we get through these. I mean, how fast we get through these. I can talk really fast. The issues, I can talk really fast. I know people don't always like that. I can get through 4 readings in 25 minutes. I know that I can. Hold on, I'm gonna pull your information up. As long as that's okay with you guys, it's okay with me. Thank you for sending your information here. Oh my god, I'm kind of freezing. Ow, my fucking back. 2 p.m. San Francisco. Dude. I feel like such an iPad kid. San Francisco. Aww. That's so sweet. I'm glad that I like low-key didn't know you could do that on TikTok for some reason. I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know why I thought. Okay, love and career. Like I said, as long as you guys are okay with me speaking really fast, I'm happy to do UV as the last one. But if it's something where you don't want to feel like I'm rushing it or something, I'm not truly rushing it, but when I speak fast, I can see why it would feel that way. Then we can just do it next time I come on. That's totally up to you. It's literally just preference. Okay, Gigi. You're a Cancer rising, so you actually are coming out of the Jupiter transit. Jupiter, we know, is traveling, faith, philosophy, education. Those are the principles that it rules, but it's getting outside your comfort zone, it's personal exploration, and it's gaining personal wisdom through personal experience. So getting a better idea of what you believe in the world, what you believe about life, what you believe to be true and not true about the world and how it works based off of the things that you've gone through firsthand, and having that go through your first house since last June to now the end of this June is usually a year of like that being more concentrated than usual. Thank you, Faye, that's sweet. I will be on here though next week for surezies. You actually have it conjoining your natal Mars like literally this week as we get into early next week, over this weekend, probably for the next few days, which can be a time of like renewed energy, like wanting to hit the ground running, feeling very determined, very motivated, very ready, feeling a surge of energy because you're having Jupiter, which expands anything it touches and kind of exasperates things, coming into contact with Mars, which is asserting yourself, going after what you want, pursuing your desires, speaking up, you know, sticking it to people who need it, things like that. And Jupiter is kind of putting its foot on the gas in terms of making shit happen, facing things head on, and wanting to get things going. However, you do have Mars natally in your birth chart in Cancer, which can sometimes be a little passive aggressive or shy or not so direct with things that they're not emotionally driven by. So there could be something that pisses you off enough to do something about it or motivates you enough to hit the ground running. I know that you mentioned your relationships and career. So Jupiter, once it finishes up this transit through your first house, which is again self-identity, who you are, what you look like, your life path, a lot of exploration and again growing over the last year. At the end of June, so June 30th into next summer, into next July, it's now transitioning into your second house. So the transit through the first house is about learning more about yourself, taking up more space, getting more opportunity, and the second house is about growing your income, your self-worth, and how you nourish yourself, how you take care of yourself. Good. I'm glad to hear that you feel like you're having a transformation. Jupiter also does rule your sixth house of work, health, and employment. So how you take care of yourself on a day-to-day basis, as well as your ninth house of like faith, beliefs, education, what you believe about the world. It's getting outside your comfort zone. So because it rules the area of your chart that has to do with expansion and growing, having that go through your area of self and identity means you are growing up. Like you're growing up, you're taking up more space, you're saying yes to more things, you feel like you are getting inflated in a way that feels good to take up space, rather than like, oh, I'm taking up space in a way that's making me insecure. It's like, no, I'm comfortable in the fact that I'm making more room for myself in this world. But having it move into that second house now is essentially bringing the inflation energy to your finances, your investments, your money, your income. And this is just the area of life that rules value, both literally and metaphorically. So literally in terms of like, yeah, this is how much money you have, these are the assets you're investing into, this is your house, this is the nice car that you want, this is the shoes that you invest in, it's the organic food that you prefer rather than just like garbage, whatever. How you nourish yourself, both literally and metaphorically, but it's also like your self-worth, and how our physical, tangible, material values also reflect about how we feel about ourselves, how good or bad we feel about ourselves, the boundaries that we have with other people, etc. Okay, so now this is making me have a different perspective on it. So not only will you naturally maybe grow your income, like just get another income stream or like make a lot more money this year moving forward, but because Jupiter is very spiritual and woo-woo and has to do with like philosophy and spirituality and things like that, this might just be a simple equation of like Jupiter is spirituality, it's in your second house of money, you're going to be making money by being a spiritual teacher to other people or healing people, or you know, whatever way that manifests for you. Again, especially because Jupiter, same thing, rules your sixth house of work, health, routine, employment, how you are of service to others. So it could be anything from like doing some sort of like therapeutic work to being like a holistic coach to, or dietitian or nutritionist or something, to teaching people somatic therapy to like remove the trauma out of their body, like things like that. So you're right on track. And this is why I love astrology, because I always say there's no homework. Like, you don't need to do things for these things to reflect what's going on. You are just thankfully in your case, very in tune with what's already coming your way and already happening. So see this as validation and confirmation that like the things that you want are naturally being complemented in your chart. You also have Neptune, which is similar to Jupiter because they're both ruled by Pisces, in the sense that it's very mystical, it's very woo-woo. Jupiter has more grit and structure and realism to it. Neptune is like the vibes. Neptune is things that you can't pin down. They're not tangible. They're things that you feel and experience. And some people are just more tapped into that than others. And it's going over your midheaven, which is the most public area of your chart, having to do with your reputation that is in alignment with your career, your public image, your success and accomplishment. So the way that people perceive you based off of what you do or what you offer. So whenever people have Neptune go over their midheaven, they either get into something incredibly spiritual or incredibly artistic. So sometimes for people, this is like they become an actress, or they start working in modeling, or they become a photographer, or they're engaging with a lot more creative work. And in your case, you could be doing those things too, but in your case, this can be the fact that your reputation is now becoming more vast in terms of the realm of it being associated with spirituality, with healing, with things that are woo-woo. And naturally you have to be okay with, like, some people are going to think that you're a bullshitter. That's not a big deal, and you shouldn't lose sleep over that. Like, you could say that about anyone's job is always going to come with some level of judgment, but there can be a lot of exploration where you are both the teacher and the student, like in helping other people. It's helping you a lot. It's helping heal you as an individual. You also have Saturn here, so this can be a good time to like trickle down. Like when people say therapists need therapists, like you want to be a healer to other people, this would be a good time to find an authority figure that is a healer to you, or someone that is a mentor to you, someone where you can kind of, they're like a step up in the totem pole where their teachings bleed down to you, which bleed down to your students or your clients, however you want to view it. So really a time of building and establishing yourself in your own career path, in your industry, by humbly being a student to others and becoming a teacher yourself. I hope that makes sense to you. If you need me to verbalize that differently, I can. The advice I have for you, whether it's in regards to your newfound sort of creative path or career path or not, would be that despite the fact that you're having a lot more growth and expansion with Jupiter going through your second house of money and income that we just talked about, you're also having the South Node go through here, which is about release and letting go. So I keep telling people, like, the contradiction of having Jupiter and the South Node in the same sign is that there's an abundance and an overwhelm of these themes, and also the need to let go of any attachment towards them. So you might get a lot of clients or make a lot of money or gain a lot of knowledge, but you also have to like not be attached to the fact that these things are happening, which can be easier said than done, like especially when you're peaking. Like there might be things around pricing or around offerings or around amount of clients. Like, you want to make sure you're not biting off more than you can chew for the sake of like success, or oh my god, this is so great that this is popping off better than I thought it would. Like, there could be a everything in moderation. Too much of a good thing can sometimes be a bad thing, where it's like something that's working out incredibly well might come with its own issues. Yes, certainly finding balance to where you're gaining material success but not increasingly becoming a materialistic person. And this is especially hard with being like someone that works in spirituality. Like, take it from me, trust me, I have had to build my own personal philosophy on like pricing and things like that, because it's like a moral and ethics sort of debate, due to the fact that you are offering things that are not tangible. Like, you kind of have to place your own value, and many people are not going to agree with that. In both directions, people are going to tell you to charge more, people are going to tell you to charge less. So a lot of this can be that you are your own teacher too, where you are kind of defining the ethics and bounds of what value means to you, and regardless of price, even just in your personal life, what is valuable to you and what isn't. What is worth your time, money, and emotional investment, what isn't. What is worth paying mind to and what isn't. So it's very self-focused. There isn't some lesson here that you're not focusing on other people. It's not so much about your clients or people and other people in your life. It is a time to be very selfish with what is right and valuable to you, but not to the extent that it is the only thing that's important to you. so much so that it like contradicts itself and loses its meaning. Uranus too is also bringing a shock factor, a pivot to your spiritual sector. It's very spiritual, very psychological. It has to do with mental health. It has to do with helping other people. It has to do with release. Is it safe to assume that you would be healing people by teaching them release in some form? Of course, that's kind of what I'm assuming. So for the last 7 to 8 years, since spring of 2018, Uranus has been through your 11th house, which is about who you serve, who supports you, the influence and the impact you want to leave on people socially, who you're connected to, your larger ambitions, your larger dreams in life. And now that it's moved into the 12th house, it's like you have your answer to that, your personal answer to that, the legacy you want to leave, the impact you want to have, who you want to support you, what you want your ideal customer or demographic to be. And now it's moving into this very deep psychological area where, yes, you could be helping other people with this. Okay, so my next question, which is rhetorical, like you do not have to answer this, would be, is this an extension of the fact that you would be a good teacher because you had to be a student of this particular experience? Because Uranus moving through the 12th house, if you didn't tell me any of this, usually would reflect that you are having an unexpected release. Like you are suddenly departing from something psychologically or mentally or emotionally heavy. But that would make sense to me in terms of cause and effect, where it's like, again, it's so Inception, like in helping other people, you almost remove your own wound. Okay. That totally makes sense. I actually like that. I think that's probably the best way that this can manifest for you. Thank you, V. I appreciate that. And whoever asked the question, I would answer you any other day. I'm just working on a client's reading. We talked about Saturn, talked about Uranus, talked about Neptune, talked about Jupiter, talked about the nodes. The nodes too, moving into the materialism sector. Something I want to say. You need to set a clear line in the sand of boundaries. Where you end and other people begin, regardless of if it has to do with your work or your any new relationships, romantically, clients, whoever it is. You need to set a clear line in the sand of where you end and other people begin, what belongs to you and what is shared with others. That might be where things get dicey. Yeah, because the nodes moving into these two areas. So this is the same thing that I was just telling you is about materialism. It's about attachment, possessiveness, obsessiveness, and entitlement in both directions of a transaction. So if you're like, girl, I'm not like that, it might be that you might have other people around you that are like that. That's where the lines are necessary. Yeah. Especially with the sort of work you're doing, you gotta be careful because you're having eclipses here and you might have to, and it's okay, life goes on, but you might learn the hard way with a client or with an experience or something where you're like, I gotta like run a tighter ship when it comes to this thing. Try not to let morality, whatever that means, be your compass of decision making. This is something I could like also talk to you about privately, like once you get your stuff up and running, because I do think you need peers who do something at the very least similar to you to navigate this sort of space, because it can just get really difficult. Because if you are doing like spiritual things and you consider yourself a healer, that's not a normal job where you went to school, you learned a skill, and now you distribute the skill. It's like something that's inherently a part of your identity. But if your career is an extension of your identity, you can get screwed up really quickly. So really just strong boundaries. You can be nice and empathetic and kind and helpful and giving to everyone, all of your clients, all of that. But if you don't have a dead serious black and white, not emotionally concerned system of boundaries and structure, you're gonna have to pay for it. If not monetarily, like with your energy or with your emotions or something like that. Okay, I love that you have one. So amazing. That gives me more confidence in you because you're not like going into this blind and you have someone that you can go to. So that's incredible. That's like the best bet. But I think that covers everything. I don't think you have any super difficult transits either. There might be something, it's not bad. Oh, you are changing this year by the end of the year and into 2027. You are changing. You're going to take a totally different direction. And it could be what we just spoke about, but your identity is like stepping into a very much more authentic place to where it might shock other people. I love that. With romance, you're actually having a Venus retrograde in the fall, in September and October, in your romantic sector. I know that you said you started dating again. You might have someone from the past come back, whether that's for better or for worse, that's up to you. That's going to be in the fall, or if you double back with them sooner, that might be where you like make the decision like to stay with them or not. There isn't anything inherent. Actually, you have a really good transit today romantically. But there isn't anything inherently moving that's like long-term romantically. That doesn't have to mean that nothing can happen. There's just nothing that's like, this is the, romance is the front and center stage thing right now. Literally, yes, this weekend. You have Venus conjunct Jupiter. That's just a good time. It's a good night. You should go out, honestly. But I think that's all I have for you. Yeah, I think we covered everything. I hope that was helpful for you. And I'm excited for you. Guys, I can't keep doing more. I want to, but I literally can't. I appreciate you, girl. Thank you for trusting me. Sorry I just wiped my nose like that. I have Lindsay, I think. Lindsay, did you just send your information? You did. You're so prepared, my girl. And then did I have someone after Lindsay? I did, right? Bro, I need to fucking stick to the time. Oh my god. Oh my god, I need to really hurry. Lindsay, if I talk fast, it's not because I'm rushing your reading. It's because I just can talk that fast and usually slow down for the sake of everyone else. On 307. Part of my OCD, this is gonna be like funny to you. Please, Lindsay, please do not get scared. I need you to laugh at this. Part of like my OCD when I was a child was in some movie, it might have been like The Conjuring or something. It's like a haunted movie. The clock like gets stuck at 3:07 a.m. and it's, that's supposed to be the witching hour or whatever. I was also raised Catholic, which is like part of my OCD, I think. And I used to always get so scared whenever it was 3:07. If I looked at the clock, I like literally thought something bad would happen to me if I looked at the clock. It's so silly. You think these things and you say them out loud and you're like, Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm glad that the speed was helpful. George after Lindsay. Okay. You poor thing, you're probably an incredible partner. It's not easy being with someone that has OCD, I know that for sure. But thank you for understanding. Don't tell him what time you're born. Okay. Oh, you're a Scorpio rising. Love it. Okay. Uranus. Unexpected changes, unpredictable circumstances, unusual situations, things coming out of left field that we didn't expect. That energy is taking up real estate in the area of your chart concerning your complicated finances. So this is less about borrowing $20 from a friend or lending a friend $20. This is debt, taxes, money, alimony, child support, marital dues, legal dues, shared assets, things that need to be dissolved, things that need to be joined, things that are contractual. I said debt, taxes, fees, things around death too, inheritance, wills, estates, things that get passed down, things with people's names on them, ownership, possession, everything that's shared. So for me, for example, when Uranus, you got a taste test of this last July and into early fall, and then it went retrograde back into your relationship sector. So there could have been some shifts with your relationships, regardless of if it was with your romantic relationship or just people close to you. But now that it's back in this area of the chart, this usually is unexpected big fees or payments or things that you're suddenly getting charged for, or money suddenly coming in due to the fact that somebody else is merging their assets or resources with you, or they're investing into you and paying you for something. It's the transactions and trust of other people overlapping with you. So this is less about just what you own as an individual, and rather what you own, what other people own, overlapping them, sharing them, or exchanging them to some degree. So it could be something related to work. If you have any sort of work that includes these themes, it could be something that you had to pay off, anything that's financed, things like that. There could be issues, accidents. Like with me, my car had an issue, and like literally since then I've still been paying it off, and there's like, it's just been draining my bank account. So yeah, when you start up a new business, I assume depending on the business that you have, it's a lot of like starting capital or money, obviously depending on what you do, but it can just feel like you're like, oh my God, my leg is getting pulled in terms of like paying so much fucking money out of pocket. That is something that over time will obviously likely pay off, but it can just feel like you're biting off more than you can chew, and that a lot of money is going down the drain at the beginning. And that is just something over the next 7 to 8 years it's just going to be a lot of that. And that doesn't mean you're going to lose money the whole time, but it's a lot of high highs and a lot of low lows, and a lot of, oh my God, we forgot about this bill. Oh my God, we forgot about this fee. Oh my God, who would have thought that we would have got a $20,000 check for this thing? Like, it can be a lot of really big payouts and a lot of really big pay forwards. It is 7 to 8 years, but you've been through other Uranus transits. It's been in your relationship sector for the last 7 to 8 years, and that's a lot of ups and downs of people closest to you. So I don't want to say that this one's easier, but it's in a less intense area of the chart than it was the last 7 to 8 years. And if you survived that, that is usually the downfall of like everyone close to you suddenly switching up, losing a lot of people, meeting a lot of new people. This will be a little bit more tame and more practical. It likely has a lot more to do with like actual assets and practical, tangible variables than it does like anything relationship wise, unless it creates issues within your marriage. But you don't even have any harsh aspects to it anytime soon. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I wouldn't lose sleep over it. It's just happening in the background. Jupiter you also might have had like a lot of renewed energy this week, or a lot of drive and determination to make shit happen, to change your situation, to create progress moving forward and open yourself up to new options and opportunity, because Jupiter is currently conjunct, and was the last few days, your natal Mars, which is about drive, determination, pursuing your desires, going after what you want, hitting the ground running. So you might sort of feel this push and whoosh of newfound energy and drive to execute things, especially in regards to, again, opportunity, traveling, faith, philosophy, taking up more room, getting outside your comfort zone, wanting the world to open up to you opportunity-wise. You had similar energy to this, I think, last September. So there might be some redos or relevant energy from around then that's kind of coming back up again. But it will move into your career sector as we get into late June. So June 30th onward, for about a year into next summer, you're going to be having a lot of expansion and opportunity and things around, again, traveling, faith, philosophy, education, just getting a lot more experience and probably gaining a lot more wisdom, especially in this new business that you started within your career sector. So this can be where you are kind of like a curious student. Again, similarly to the last person I just spoke to, maybe find a mentor, find someone that has successfully done the business that you're currently working on with your husband. Anything where you can kind of have someone to look up to that will be a good teacher, but also your best teacher in this experience is going to be lived experience. So embracing mess ups, mistakes, obstacles, hindrances. That's not to say that it's going to be inherently difficult for you the whole time, but just that you have to fall on your face to grow things. You have to learn things to grow things. And honestly, it's much better to do that rather than having things blow up too easily. And then you have to pull back and you're like, oh my God, we kind of screwed up and like no one else caught it, but we did, sort of thing. You might be traveling a lot for work. There could just be more public opportunities available to you, professional opportunities available to you, whether it has to do with your business or not. This could be totally separate. Or if you're still holding like a main job and the business is like a side job or something, there could be also really good celebratory things happening in the career. If you are doing any sort of visibility or exposure, they get uploaded on YouTube, usually like a day or two after. If you're doing any visibility, exposure, marketing, promotion, anything like that, especially on social media, but even if you're doing them at like a mass level, a commercial level, they should pay forward very well for you. I think they'd be very favorable. The nodes are going to move into the most private area of your life versus the most public area of your life. So that means that the main focus and spotlight is going to start to move into the area of your life concerning your home, your family, your living situation, your property, the kind of core foundation that you go home to that's like a sense of comfort and security. So This might be a time where family gets more serious, whether that means that family members are requiring your help or support or your guidance or assistance to some degree. It can also just be that there's shifts happening in the actual property. Maybe you're moving, maybe you're renovating. It seems like it's going to be a beneficial transit for you, at least at the beginning, as we get into like early fall, because it's going to go over your Venus, which is also money and investments and marriage and relationships. So it looks like it's going to be something, this is an 18-month transit. So it begins at the end of July, the very end of July, and it will be here until the end of 2027 or the beginning of 2028. It's about 18 months. It's a year and a half long. It will begin the end of July, but as we get into August, September, probably in August, honestly, but we'll say early September as well to be safe, that you have a very magnetic, fated sort of transit where the North Node is going to conjoin your natal Venus, which again is love, relationships, it's harmony, it's business partnerships, it's relationships of all kinds, but it's in the area of life concerning your private life, your home, and your family. So if there's some sort of investment or mortgage or money or anything like that, it seems like it should be favorable and go very well for you. There could be a really pivotal change, though, in your relationships moving forward a little bit more, because then it's going to come, the nodes are going to square your natal Pluto, which is in your first house of self and identity. And sometimes that can naturally bring a lot of shifts to the people closest to you. That looks like it's going to be around Thanksgiving, maybe around the holidays for sure. It looks like it's going to be probably right in the middle of Thanksgiving and around November 22nd. So right around Thanksgiving, end of November, there could be something really pivotal changing with a family member, or that shifts your identity, or something that shifts with your identity changes something in the home and family. But it's really electrocuting those major areas of your life: you, your home, your family, your career sector. We talked about Jupiter. Also around, this might be part of it. Also around Thanksgiving, if you don't plan on getting pregnant, be careful, because that might be like the fated thing. The fated thing, growth with family, pregnancy, conceiving. If it's not like your own child, it could be family expanding in general, or like the property expanding for whatever reason. But there's something romantic or financial that is growing and expanding that can oftentimes be conceiving a child in pregnancy. So just be mindful of that. And again, that's around Thanksgiving. And you'll have a second pass of that in 2027 as well. What about Uranus? Saturn and Neptune are in your 6th house of work, health, employment. You need to focus on things on a micro level in order to see macro changes. You need to, unfortunately, it can be annoying and tedious, have a structured schedule of breaking down your major or long-term goals into how you can digestibly get closer and closer to them on a minor level every single day. Okay, if you've been wanting to have a baby, Thanksgiving, October, November is the time, girl. And it could be like October and then you find out in November. That could very well be what it is, because the first thing is the North Node conjunct your Venus, and that can be a fated thing happening. And then the change in identity that other people can see about you, that's creating a big shift in your home, family, and marriage, will be Thanksgiving. So conception might happen around October, and then finding out, celebrating, telling people might be November. And I don't want to promise anything to you, but if you've been trying, that's usually a conception window. And again, you have a second pass of that next year as well. Take care of your health. Have a good health, wellness routine and regimen right now. That's going to help you be successful in your goals that aren't related to health. Like by taking care of your body, that's going to help support better success in your career and in your business. If you're a well-oiled machine, everything else will follow suit. If you are exhausted and burnt out and not resting enough because you're overworking things that's going to help you succeed, it's actually going to hinder you and hold you back. So be mindful of that. Something else worth mentioning, this is actually really important. You're actually having a really difficult transit. Hold on, I'll give you the exact time. Which again can be like loneliness, depression. Sometimes it can actually be issues with fertility, with reproductive themes. If it's not your reproductive themes in pregnancy or anything like that, it can be your own mom. It can be your mom, your home, your family, your living situation, your emotional needs. It might be something having to do with health, whether it's your health, your mom's health, a family member's health. This is unlikely to be something totally random and more likely to be something that you're like kind of already aware of. It's actually not even going to be exact this year, but you might get like the inklings of something getting tight, whether it has to do with home, family, living situation, property, your work, your health, your routine, a dry spell of loneliness, boredom, or just lack of inspiration, or just feeling a little depressed for some reason, maybe due to something with health. And this can simply be like you get sick and you have to take an antibiotic and it's like affecting your mental health a little bit, or work is going slowly and it's making you lose faith. You know, it doesn't have to be the worst thing ever. You know, literally it's always some shit, trust me. I'm a Scorpio rising, like I get it. I would keep an eye on this. In July, it won't be exact. It's a degree away from your moon. July and August, just keep an eye on these things. I can't give you an exact date because it won't be exact until next year, but it's so close that it's worth mentioning. That's your most difficult transit. Even a little before that, I think literally right now. Oh my God. Dude, this website got like attacked by AI bots and now you can't like do things, you can't click 5 things in a row without like this pop-up screen coming up. The other thing I want to mention, if this is relevant to you, there might be something legal with work or health or serious and just sobering or like a wake-up call or something around the second half of June. Hey, Nat. No, that was this year. That was this year. It just won't be exact until next year. So the dates that I just mentioned, you might be getting like inklings of something getting tight or frustrating or difficult, but the peak of it won't be until next year. So pay attention, because these are the signs we're given and the signals we're given to like utilize to our advantage. So if you get health scare, take it seriously, because next year if you don't take it seriously, you might have to go to the hospital. Like that's a serious example, but that's what I kind of mean here. Like if you're getting nudges, if you're getting signs, listen to them, because they're trying to help you before things get extra difficult. But I think that that's all I have for you, and that's your most difficult one, and it's not even exact. It will be next year. Wait, oh, fuck, hold on. If it makes you feel any better, your toughest planet is putting pressure on your sun literally as we speak, the second half of May. So if you feel fine right now, I wouldn't worry too much, because you have Saturn square your sun, which is usually difficult with now father energy or authority figures, your boss, your environment, your physical body, you feeling depressed, you feeling like you're taking 1 step forward, 10 steps back. And that's like burning up to a climax right now, the second half of May. So if you're not even feeling that pressure or difficulty or boredom, depression, loneliness, whatever it is, then when it conjoins your moon, which is similarly quite difficult with the dates that I just gave you, then you will likely be able to navigate it pretty smoothly. Best advice I always have is just push through it, show that you're strong, say, what is this teaching me? And don't cut corners. This isn't the time to run a red light, to speak back to a boss. Like, it's annoying. Accept that it's annoying, put your head down, do what you need to do, and it'll blow over. Like, that's how I feel about a Saturn transit. Okay. I hope that was helpful for you. I'll have that uploaded too. Let me put in the new chart. But I love you, girl. I'm rooting for you. We should do an update though like maybe around the holidays or early next year, because you'll have a second pass of all of those. Okay, and who is this last person that I had? George, right? Okay. I gotta like speed through my voice right now. I mean, through my speaking. Yes? Do you have a nightmare? Guys, my cat, she always has nightmares. Santiago to Cuba, 2:30 a.m. Thank you for sending your information. I kind of love tapping on this iPad more than the laptop. Okay, you're also a Cancer rising. Oh my god, you guys are being funny. Thanks for coming to my defense. Guys, I'm so sorry. I can't do any more readings. I can't. I will do them 100, maybe this weekend, but 100% next week. Put my notifications on because I will be doing them. I cannot do any more today. I'm sorry. Okay. Is it George or Georgito? I don't want to say your name incorrectly. You just you're wrapping up your Jupiter transit. So Jupiter is traveling, faith, philosophy, expansion, opportunity, abundance, taking up more space, growing, becoming a bigger version of yourself. Usually opportunities come onto your path. You get to grow. You get to feel like you're stepping more into yourself. You get to be a little bit more gluttonous and indulgent in your life. Sometimes people gain weight. Sometimes people grow their family. Sometimes people have good things fall in their path. It's very celebratory. Sometimes people travel and they want to move to a totally different city. They want to become a totally different person. They get to just say yes to a million things. You are wrapping up this transit. It doesn't mean that good things have to end if you've been going through a lot of good things. And if you're like, girl, where are the good things? Even if we don't want to admit it currently, you've likely had a lot of growing and a lot of evolution and a lot of personal self-reflection and introspection over the last year that's helped you mature and grow and evolve a lot as an individual. So with this being said, also Jupiter went over your natal Venus, I think last fall, and then it also just very recently, probably like within the last 2 weeks, went over your natal Venus. That's usually very good for money, for success, for opportunity, celebration, abundance, for your looks, becoming more attractive, attracting more people and opportunities to you romantically. And now it's going to be going over your natal Saturn, which is really good for also accepting opportunities that establish you more, to be taken more seriously. It can be an expansion of your knowledge or experience or anything like that that kind of cements a level of respectiveness or something like that into you, respectability. So this entered here last June. You're going to be wrapping this up at the end of this June. Once we get into July, it's going to now move into your second house of money, income, sources of income, finances, what you invest in, both literally and metaphorically. So this is time investments, money investments, emotional investments, energetic investments. You're going to have to start deciding what you invest in and what you don't, because there's going to be an abundance of opportunity and options to do so. So you don't want to spread yourself too thin, but it can look like more money and opportunities coming in. But you kind of have to see where your ethics, your personal values, and your beliefs come into play with that. So you'll get more decisive in those things. It can also be that something that you know, your knowledge or your experience becomes the thing that allows you to get paid or to monetize something or to get these opportunities, like something that you've done, experienced, or know might be the source of this. You might have to travel for money, or something with culture, money, language, press, knowledge, education, speaking, talking, writing, opinions, ethics, law, justice, anything like that might be relevant to these monetary changes. But there can be an expansion of these themes. Jupiter also rules to your sixth house of work, health, routine, could be fitness, work, health, routine, employment, what goes on in your everyday life, as well as the area of your life, again, concerning traveling and education. So all of these things might be relevant. But this is also going to teach you a lot of, you've done the self-reflection on yourself for this past year, and this is going to have you do a lot of self-reflection on what is important to you, what your personal values are, your boundaries, your standards, your expectations, etc. You'll have a good year with that until next summer. The North Node is going to be moving into your 8th house, which is actually going to teach you a lot about trust and transactions with other people, merging into other people. This can be sexually, this can be via intimacy, this can be via trust and secrets and pinky promises with other people, just as much as it can be this level of like seriousness with financial transactions and contractual agreements, and where you overlap with other people in terms of they pay you to do this and you have to deliver the job, or you pay other people and outsource other people to do this and they have to do a good job. Trust and transactions, financially, merging assets, moving in with someone, like paying rent, splitting it with a roommate, getting married, now you're merging your assets, signing a business contract, you are liable to them, they are liable to you. Anything like that starts to become the main focus for the next 18 months, starting at the end of July through the remainder of 2026 and all through 2027. And then I think you're going to be establishing your career over the next 3 years. You've probably already gotten a preview or a taste test of that, because Saturn has been you taking your career more seriously. And even though it might have been increased in difficulty, or like these sobering sort of wake-up calls that you need to try harder or work harder or put in more effort or something like that, it will pay off at the end of this transit, if not sooner. But there could be what feels like a dry spell, obstacles, hindrances, like biting off more than you can chew, things getting a little bit more difficult right now, or feeling like you're in the pause of things, but you will be able to prove yourself at the end of this transit and be like, no, this is everything I did, this is everything I worked hard for, this is my resume with like all of the timeline of everything that I was patient with and worked hard towards. You plan moving next early February time and doing a new business by then. Okay, so, and Jupiter will still be in your second house of money and income and investments and stuff, so that should be rewarding in terms of the business stuff. But just remember, like, if there's pushback, if there's frustrations that come up, work through them. Don't cut corners. Don't take the easy way out. Don't screw people over. Don't allow other people to screw you over. You want to do things the hard but necessary way, not because you shouldn't take the easy alternative route, but because right now you're kind of in an era where your wealth will increase by taking things more seriously and focusing on sustainability and delayed gratification, rather than, like, this isn't a time to do it get rich quick. This is a time to be like, I'm gonna do the slow, annoying way of building something brick by brick, knowing that in a few years I'm gonna be set. That's kind of the perspective you want to have. That doesn't have to be your legitimate situation, but that's the mindset you want to be making decisions in. You similarly might have like some sort of spiritual awakening, or having a lot of shifts happening with your mental health, psychologically, internally, emotionally, deep down. This is in an area of your life that isn't tangible, so it's nothing that you can see or touch with your own eyes or hands, but rather what's going on deep in here. So you might like very abruptly release something, or remember something, or have a wake-up call, or an epiphany, or a revelation, or separate from something. It's so vague. I know that it sounds like a word salad because this area of the chart just is very vague, but if there's like some level of, I'm trying to figure out which direction this is going in. Like, sometimes this can be that someone is suddenly overcome with mental health struggles or like psychological shocks. In other ways, this can be an area of life where you've self-sabotaged forever. You suddenly don't care anymore. Like, you just don't let this thing limit you. It kind of breaks the boundaries of like your psyche and your mental health and what's going on internally. So you might be freed or liberated from something that has previously kept you in like a mental prison to some degree. I know that sounds kind of crazy, but that's usually what this pertains to. It's been in the area of your life for the last 7 to 8 years in your 11th house since spring of 2018. That has a lot to do with like your friends, who you surround yourself with, your larger ambitions, your vision of your life on a grand scale. So you've had a lot of ups and downs and unpredictability and shifting directions, switching paths when it comes to these things for the last 8 years. And now this new 8-year transit really is just everything up here. You might really just start to not even recognize who you are, which can be a good thing in terms of the way you're thinking and growing and evolving. Your beliefs might change, your faith might change. You're just going to step into a more authentic version of yourself that is like very unfamiliar to everything that you've kind of been up until this point. Granted, you're born in 2004. Like, you know, you're not 40 years old. You are still very new here. So this is a coming of age transit too that really allows you to step into your own and figure out who you are very authentically. Even right now, literally as we're speaking, you might feel like you're shedding a little bit of a shell, because you have this point of release going over your sun, which is literally you, your identity. Sometimes it has to do with masculinity. Sometimes it can be your father, authority figures, your ego, your identity. You're likely abruptly releasing or removing things that just cannot come with you in terms of what you carry around yourself and your identity, and becoming more authentic in those things, which is good. And I think that literally covers it. I think I literally hit all of them already. I didn't mean too. I thought there was one more thing I had to do. Oh, your career too might be more open-ended in the terms of it becoming more spiritual, experimental, creative, controversial, mystical, curious. It might even have to do with tech, AI, like what is real versus what isn't real, non-reality. The thing with the Father is like right now. Like, is there something, I mean, you don't have to answer this if you don't want to. This is just for you to reflect on, but I would ask yourself if there's something like literally current day, yesterday, today, and tomorrow that where you're like truly releasing something. It could also have to do with the past. It could have to do with siblings, past memories, childhood, and a total shift in direction, location, or perspective. It doesn't even have to be about your dad. Sometimes it can be, but it's more about you. Like, it could be about your dad, but it's really about you, if that makes sense. Does that in any way, even if it's like kind of reaching, does that have to do with, you said you were moving, right? Let me scroll up. With you, yeah, like you're 20, you were born in 2004. Do you live at home? If you live at home, I would think that maybe this has to do with you. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to give you the images that I see in my head when I'm talking about these transits. It's literally a pivot in life path. It's like if you're like playing a video game and you're like the POV and this is like the arrow of where you're going, it's like you're suddenly realizing or feeling something about yourself and who you are based off of where you come from, and you're like, the decision you were going to make or would normally make, you're like moving this way instead, and therefore it like alters your trajectory. Like when you could read those books where you got to determine your fate or like choose your storyline, it's like the route you were going to take, you're suddenly like, actually, considering how I'm feeling about myself or reflecting on where I come from or everything that I've known up until this point, I'm going to do this instead. And it just, for some reason, it happens to be peaking currently. And sometimes too with these transits, we don't even really feel them. They come and they go, but like 6 months from now, you might look back and be like, damn, middle of May was where it really started to like unravel or like switch direction or something like that. Oftentimes these can blow over and we don't see how impactful they are until they materialize, I suppose. You similarly don't have any you'd have difficult transits next year. So we'll have to recoup. You don't have anything super difficult right now, besides what we just talked about. But next year you have, it doesn't mean you're gonna have a bad year. You're just gonna have some tight spots that are likely just probably going to be run-of-the-mill growing pains where it's just like, oh, this sucks, but like is necessary. But even a few weeks ago you had a difficult relationship transit, and that you won't have to experience that again. But yeah, the difficult stuff looks like it's more next year in 2028. But you're kind of in the clear for now. I don't see anything super difficult for you. I see good stuff for you. Growth, expansion, and then after you get to enjoy that for some time, naturally, God's spirit, the universe, halts it for a second and is like, wait a second, you have something to learn. But you will get through it. You will be fine. I hope that that was helpful for you. Okay. And I'm rooting for you. I am rooting for you. And I'm sorry for what you're going through. No one should have to go through that. Again, it's one of those things, it's not fair, but everyone has their thing where you, for some reason, that's on your path. And as difficult as it is, try to ask yourself, what is this teaching me? why the fuck do I have to go through this, and how do I make it work in my favor rather than against me? And again, that could be cope, but I do think it's productive at the very least, rather than, you know, making your own story more painful than it has to be. Okay, hold on, let me see. Okay. I'm like tweaking over here. Was that my last one, or did Iona, Teffy, did you get one? I forgot. I think you did, right? And where did you get it if you did? Oh, okay, good. Wait, now I'm relieved. Not because I didn't want to read for you, but because I thought I still had one more and I felt bad because I was like, did I forget it? No, I know you were. I don't know why I thought you... Am I forgetting someone? Okay. Oh my god, I just got scared. Okay, thanks guys. Well, I love you all. This has been so great. Love that I got on here. Same thing at like 6 whatever and was like, I'm only gonna be on here for a few minutes. I always fucking do that, bro. I just can't stop. I like doing these. Love you people so much. You guys have a wonderful weekend as well. I like low-key fucked up plans for everyone tonight, but what? I can't help it. JK, I didn't actually, but like I do feel bad. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. I'll try to come on here this weekend. I probably won't though. Just knowing how I am, I probably won't. I will be on here next week though. I've been being good. I've been coming back. Usually I say I'm gonna come back and then I don't. So I'm really trying to be better at that. Also, for people that were interested in Jumpstart June, please follow me on Twitter because that's where I'm probably gonna launch it first. And I want to make sure if you guys want spots, you get your spots because I'm only doing 30 people. So make sure you follow me on Twitter. It's the same handle. It's Young Kills. It's Jumpstart June. It's a 30-day program. We're going to do human design, astrology. It's going to be a self-led, like the whole thing. You'll see what it is when it launches. We like briefly talked about it, but I like selfishly want my TikTok people in that program. But okay, I love you guys. Have a wonderful weekend. I will talk to you guys next week and have the best time ever. And thank you guys for watching.